Some of the content of Patriots Unfiltered may not be suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
The world's original podcast.
Welcome to Patriots Unfiltered.
This is truly the dog days of the NFL right now. This
absolutely.
is really it. You know, during this time on this show, we've always talked about some of the best topics have come during this time. Laundry machines.
Oh.
Do you know what this topic's all about? When you buy these lawnmowers, you got to look at the CCs.
I'm very fascinated by Zambonis.
Yeah.
Lesbian space witches are using the force to make babies now.
Back to the lawnmowers.
Back to lawn.
If
if we had a party or something, I love watching when they come. What was that?
I said, you know what, I'm going to do circular. So I went around, and at the end of the mowing the lawn, my neck hurt. Because I was looking.
That's the frettest thing ever.
And he keeps putting down wood chips, and every time it rains, the wood chips just drain right out into the street. He doesn't get it. It's like, it's not going to work. How many times are you going to do this? He keeps doing it. It keeps just running right out.
It's not going to work.
Just keep it dirt or pave
He
it.
suddenly sounds like Capello. Yeah.
This is Patriots Unfiltered.
Presented by Toyota's official website for deals, buyatoyota.com.
All right, welcome into Patriots Unfiltered. We are back for another summer show, and unfortunately for you all, Freddie is out on vacation, so Deuce is going to be taking the hosting chair here in our Studio B. Is that what we call it, Paul, I guess? I don't know what we're calling this. Our home away from home as the new studio gets built. We got Teese, we got Tamara, we got Evan. If you just listen to 2 hours of Catch 22, you know, familiar with all his football stylings and hockey stylings as well, and Paul, of course. Little hockey. We got
gotta say goodbye to Linus. I mean, we can't just sit here and act like that didn't happen.
I know. And so, well, Paul was clarifying everything you were getting wrong for me over in the other room.
What was I getting wrong?
You didn't get anything wrong. That was
We just
that was a wrong question by Mike. The only thing I would say is you were like, oh, you got everybody's sad to see him. I don't really know any Bruins fans that thought he was staying or were upset that he was leaving.
Oh,
that was the only thing. But like,
I know a Bruins
all
fan at my house that was pretty upset about it last night. I can tell you that.
all of your ins and outs of the trade. I don't have. I didn't see anything wrong with anything.
I kid. No hugs, though.
Mike's just
no
pulling
hugs.
a TJ. This is what TJ did to me yesterday. He set me up to get in trouble from my wife because I told. So I tell TJ on Sunday that we're having problems with the pool filter because Mom put too much earth in the filter. So I got a text from Beth yesterday. So evidently I put too much earth in the filter. I was like, he's a little rat. I was all over him.
He sold you out.
He did.
He ratted him.
Now I'm just gonna miss the goalie hugs, though. That's that's what's sad.
Look, I feel like I understand where Paul is coming from totally, but I feel like we don't look at things like the same way as like fans do. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, it's all of us is all transactional, and it's like this was what was best for the team, and yada yada yada. But my fiance was distraught for like a good hour last night, not because she knew it was coming, but like she loves Linus Ullmark.
So does she like him more than Swayman?
No, equally.
Because if they had traded Swayman, I would feel exactly the same.
No, so she is a
like
gigantic,
you only need one goalie, only one place.
She is a gigantic Tuukka Rask fan, like the biggest Tuukka Rask fan on the planet.
I can't be friends with her.
And then that obviously continued to the two goalies that are current, not anymore currently, but to Swayman and Ullmark. So, her view of it, I feel like, is what a lot of fans, how they kind of look at things, and a lot, people are upset.
I think he's
That's
a good,
all.
solid goalie. I think there's very little difference between those two guys. But Mike, I know that you spent hours this morning prepping for this show.
You want to get right into it?
Well, you heard the lead into the show about various lawnmowers and patterns and
sad I missed that
other
stuff.
appliances. That was our show that Evan, Fred, and I did on Thursday.
So before we get
big one.
into the lawnmowers, refrigerators, soap in a slot
We got
talk,
some Patriot stuff.
Mike
Can
worked
we just-
tirelessly this morning.
I have notes. I did, Paul. I did some statistical analysis.
top of mind. Top of mind for me is Devon Godchaux and
Godchaux,
just the
sure.
news that was on Twitter.
Yeah, so that's we can start with that one. We also had training camp dates announced. We can get into that as well. But Godchaux chiming in on social media this morning. I think last week or 2 weeks ago we heard Gerard Mayo basically just come out and say, he wants more money, and Godchaux's like, I want more money. It's a tough kind of. I think they're kind of in a tough spot, because on one hand, I think that this is a position that certainly he's been a valuable guy for them, and on early downs, there's nothing really behind him. And and with Lawrence Guy gone, he's kind of the guy in the middle. He sees them handing out contracts, and we'll get into the Rhamondre Stevenson of it all too, which I think happened after the show last week. So you guys didn't.
It did.
So you see all these guys getting kind of paid, and he got paid last year. He's got no guaranteed money left. So you kind of understand where he's at, but I also understand with the team saying like, yeah, but you're kind of a role player, and we gave you a couple raises, and we're paying the young guys. We're paying the guys in their 20s. You're 30. So I don't really know. Do you think that this is going to come to a head and maybe cause a holdout perhaps?
I could see them paying him simply because the run game has improved since, he's been added to the roster. I thought they were much better last year. And then also, even the young guys that they have that you're trying to develop, I don't see one that's going to replace him right now on the roster.
Unless you want to talk Jeremiah Farms. I mean,
Yeah.
he's probably the next guy up at that spot, which is
Yeah.
practice squad guy.
And I
I'm
know,
good with that.
and I know that too. It's like when you're in a position like Godchaux, they're not going to show up on the stat sheet like how a Rhamondre Stevenson would. Like you're not going to see his carries and how many yards he has. You're not going to see that stuff. But I think overall the run game has improved without Lawrence Guy. And if you don't have Godchaux, like who's going to be the big man in the middle helping to stop the run?
Yep.
The best thing for Godchaux too is he's been available for
Yes.
almost every game he's played. I think I'm not sure what the exact
Mhm.
number was, but I mean, if you're paying him, I don't think you're breaking the bank for him. So.
I agree too. The
Well, they did last year.
best ability is
Last year was
availability.
Last year's fault.
They broke the bank for him last year. How
Yeah.
many years in a row
But-
do you get a new contract?
And I will say that I like what Matisse brought up. The best ability is availability, and he's been available.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, and we did this a little bit on Catch 22, we actually looked at some of the interior defensive linemen and went down the list of, is that guy like to play like Devon Godchaux? He's a two-down nose tackle. He's a two-down nose tackle.
Yep.
He doesn't rush the passer. He's not going to be in on third down. And as much as I think that he's a great guy and everything, that is just not a role that necessarily breaks the bank. It's not Christian Barmore. Like, you're not paying somebody that's going to be a double-digit 60 pressure guy. It's not Dexter Lawrence, who's going to be one of the best defensive linemen in the league. He is a situational player that is very, very good in the situations that he's in, but in terms of the compensation, he's kind of fairly compensated at this point.
Yeah.
And so the only thing that they could necessarily do with him is convert some of his like roster bonuses and workout bonuses and just give him the money, right? So it's more guaranteed cash up front. They could add years, but why? Like what's the rush to add years to it? I hear him. He's right that his stuff does not show up on the stat sheet. You got to watch the film, and you got to know ball, as he said in his tweet, to understand what exactly his role encapsulates. I just look at the comps across the league in that type of skill set and say he's kind of making market money for a first down run-stuffing nose tackle.
Is it more just to think that he doesn't have any money after this year? There's no guaranteed money this year. Do you think it's more not, I feel underpaid, it just feels like I want to have some security?
It seems
I
from
would
his
assume,
tweet.
yeah.
From his tweet, it seems security, and I like how he mentioned he wanted to retire here. So I think he kind of just wants security here. He doesn't want to go anywhere else. He's cool with staying here if the money matches it.
What do you guys think is better? Do you think it's better the way Bill handled things, where he didn't talk about contracts? He never would have said what Gerard said last week. Or do you think it's better that Gerard just acknowledges the elephant in the room? Devon Godchaux is now acknowledging the elephant in the room. It's not really an elephant in the room anymore. I mean, is there a better way to do it, do you think? Does it matter, or is it just kind of what the
Probably
coach
somewhere
wants
in
to
the
do?
middle.
Yeah.
I would think. I don't know that Bill always did the right thing just by completely ignoring everybody who asked every question. I don't think that was the right way to do it. But contracts and stuff, I think when you start, that answer took me by surprise in minicamp. I don't know how you guys felt.
Yeah.
Not just because it was such a
It
stark
wasn't just him
contrast.
either. He said that there were a few players.
Oh, yeah. There's
Yeah.
a lot of guys in that situation. And he talked about one of the things I'm learning is your, sort of valuation of a player isn't necessarily the same as the market.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like him, another thing I'm learning on, on the fly. Yeah, I don't think that's a great way either, but if I have to choose between the two, I'll take Mayo's because at least, we're getting some information and we're being able to sort of understand where they're coming from.
I feel like in the past, whenever a player would be like, "Oh, like it's time for me to get paid," I just like in my head be like, "Oh, he's gone." Like Bill's
Right.
not going to pay him, so it's kind of a new approach. I
And
feel
this
like.
is a guy who was paid, like Evan's right, like he got paid
Yeah.
very well last
Yes.
year. And I don't really understand the whole, I think it's a security thing to answer
Yeah.
your question. I think
Yeah.
he's looking for longer term, but everybody keeps writing in, and I wrote the same thing last week, about There's no guaranteed money. Well, who cares? Like, is he going to be on the team this year?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's guaranteed. It's like if you're on the team, you're going to get paid.
Yeah.
It's not like he's getting, like the whole Judon thing. They took money from this year and gave it to him last year. So now he's not really fairly compensated for what he's going to do this year. I think Godchaux will be
Me too.
Yeah.
for what he does, as Evan pointed out very well, as a part-time player. He is very good in his role. Like, he's a run-stuffing defensive tackle. But, like, you start talking about some of the guys that are defensive tackles around the league that do that also make plays in the backfield, also put pressure on the court, DeForest Buckners and
Yeah.
guys like that, Dexter Lawrence, Evan brought up earlier. Those guys are, to me, at a level much higher than Godchaux.
Yeah. It's tough with the contracts because at some point the buck has to stop. You can't just if you start giving out free money to everybody, then all 53 guys are going to be knocking on Elliot Wolf's door and being like, well, you gave an extension to Rhamondre and you paid Devon when he complained about it. So here I am, whoever,
Right.
insert name here.
That is
And
a risk.
Now I'm going to start to complain about it. And if you look at the market value of what he's being compensated this year, he's being fairly compensated for the role he's going to play on the team. And if you start even paying those guys, then every single person on the roster is going to want some more money.
Do you feel like Elliot Wolf has to say no? Because I mean, look, I'm a fan of re-signing Barmore and Duggar and Owen. We talked about it plenty. I'm a fan of that, but it feels like you've kind of brought this upon yourself now. If you're going to make a move to send a message to the locker room that we want to keep our guys, it kind of then sets the line like you have. And now, well, what my turn? Well, what about me?
Right.
So at a certain point, do they have to say, hey, Devon, sorry, you can not show up and we're not going to pay you? And you know what I mean? They have to put their foot in draw a line in the sand and say, look, we're going to extend the guys we want, but we're not going to let you hold a gun to our head.
I was kind of shocked, along those same lines, Mike, that they re-signed Rhamondre, especially because the market hasn't really valued running backs, and they just deem them as so replaceable that I was shocked to see Rhamondre get a contract like that.
Well, that's a great transition, Tamara. But first, hey, Patriots fans, if you want to see Toyota's best offers, including those not seen on TV, go to buyatoyota.com. It's Toyota's official website for deals from the official vehicle of the New England Patriots. Toyota, let's go talk about Rhamondre's deal. So, Paul's right. I did. Like, I even did it Paul style. Like, he's got like a little pad and he writes.
You mean you wrote it with a pen?
Right. Paul's not amused.
No, they're just like making fun of us, Mike, because we're prepared.
Oh, right. Hey,
I had to want to see my notes app on my phone.
No,
It looks
I
like
definitely
that.
don't.
It's a lot smaller
I
than that,
don't.
though.
But no, I mean, I didn't do anything crazy. I just wanted to kind of stack up how he measures up to the rest of the league. And I mean, I don't know if you guys have gone through this at all, but I kind of have him, I guess, essentially 7th in the league if you kind of stack him up.
I think it's 6th.
6. All right. I think there's probably some confusion with Mixon. That's probably where. But McCaffrey's making $19 million per year. He has $24 million guaranteed. Kamara got $15 per. He got $34.3 guaranteed. Jonathan Taylor, who is younger than Rhamondre Stevenson, just a note, still just 25, $14 million per, 26.5 guaranteed. Saquon, 12.6 per with $26 million guaranteed. Then we get down into Josh Jacobs, $12 million per with 12.5. And then we can kind of slot in Stevenson here, who got 4 for 36, which is about $9 million per, 17 guaranteed. Joe Mixon's making 9.8 per with 13 million guaranteed, so less guaranteed money. But just stacking some of these guys up, and I think Josh Jacobs, to me, was kind of the comp, at least monetarily. He's making a little bit more, but not a lot. He only got 12.5 guaranteed, but he's making 12 per. But when you look at the numbers, Rhamondre had that one season, 2 years ago where, all around did a ton of stuff. But when you look at Josh Jacobs' numbers, his 5 seasons, 1,100 total yards, 1,200 total yards, 1,300 total yards twice, and the 2,000-yard season last year.
That's
so
incredible.
Just when you stack up the production-wise, and I like Rhamondre, and I think, injuries have been a little bit of an issue for him, but for me it just feels like a little bit surprising. It feels a little bit of a rich deal. It feels like they didn't maybe necessarily have to do it just yet. I guess I personally connected to trying to keep your best offensive weapon in-house, and regardless of being a running back.
I love it. I think he's top 10-ish running back, probably closer to 10. And it's about drafting, developing. You're keeping him. He's worked on catching out of the backfield. He's kind of a vet guy. I think that's a guy who deserves a contract, even though it is kind of interesting in the past 3 years the way the running back market has changed. But I love it. So
sometimes we talk about fictional people on this show, and if Bill had given this contract, I think the reaction to this contract would have been much different than what we saw on Twitter on Thursday. We don't have to love every contract that the new regime hands out. We don't have to love them all. This one is a bad contract. You handed a running back who's 26 years old, $17 million guaranteed, when the data tells us that at 28 he's going to drop off a cliff. So second contracts with running backs are a huge risk. It's a huge risk by any measure, really statistically. And yes, is he a good player? Yes. Is he special? Like, is he remarkably good that he's going to really create yards on his own? Again, statistically, it would say no, because last year when he didn't have a good offensive line, his production took a major hit. So in 2022, he has the breakout year. He averaged 5 yards per carry. Mm-hmm. He averaged 3.8 yards after contact per rush. Those were both near the top of the league. Last year, much worse offense, much worse environment, 4 yards a carry, 2.8 yards after contact. So that full yard difference tells you that a lot of that was just the product of his environment and the offensive line and the blocking that he was getting. And he would tell us last year all the time, that he would go back and watch his carries and there's no place to go. There's no holes. Well, if you were really like in that special category, you'd find a hole. And I worry a lot about always worry about paying running backs. Mm-hmm. It's just a risky position to do that.
Yeah, that's where I kind of stand on it overall philosophically, is that last part about the second contract for running backs. I don't think it's an overly exorbitant number. I don't think the contract is that out of whack. I would the list that you read off, I would take all those guys over Stevenson, but not because I think Stevenson can't play. I think he's fine. And I think this contract is fine. I don't think it's a great deal, and I don't think it's something that we're going to be talking about, my God, like we can't re-sign our quarterback because we gave Rhamondre Stevenson $36 million. I mean, one thing that I don't know, this is an extension, right? So it kicks in after this year, right? Let's say he plays out the last year of his rookie deal. That kind of worries me even more. Right. Like, because now the big money comes a year later.
Right, 27.
28. To Evan's point, like, that's when you start to see the tread. And I think we already saw that. I think that it's when I didn't have those contact numbers that Evan just had. That makes sense. When you have that much production after contact, a drop-off the next year is going to make sense. He took a lot of wear and tear. A lot of people talk about the catches. He has a lot of catches, but all of those guys that have a lot of catches do a lot more with them than Rhamondre Stevenson does. Those are the numbers I did do, Mike.
You didn't write them down.
It's Mixon, Kamara, Eckler, McCaffrey, and I would submit that McCaffrey's not fair because he's in a stratosphere all on his own. Yes. Yep. But those are the guys that have more catches than he does, and Rashad White is the other one. Tampa. They all average at least a yard more per reception than Stevenson. And they all had at least 5 touchdowns, and this is over a 2-year span. They all had at least 5 receiving touchdowns to Stevenson's 1 in 2 years. So, yeah, he caught 60 whatever passes 2 years ago, but to what end?
Yeah.
For a terrible offense.
Yeah.
I'd add in the uncertainty, too, of the new scheme. And, we've talked a lot about AVP, wide zone. Does it fit Rhamondre? They're paying him like they think it fits.
And I'll tell you something else, and this is more anecdotal. Evan probably has the actual numbers, but Nick Chubb was used as their bell cow, obviously, in Cleveland. He came off the field a lot for Kareem Hunt in passing situations, which I hated.
Yeah.
Partly because I had Nick Chubb on my fantasy team. But I just think Chubb was a better player.
Yeah.
And to me, you should I understand you want to try to preserve him, but I thought he needed to get Chubb. So I wonder if that's an AVP thing, that he wants to sort of have a separate guy to do that.
With Gibson, I guess.
Yeah. I just think that there's a couple of running backs that I would say I would pay, like are worth it.
McCaffrey.
But the point is that it's just a couple.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think what we saw in free agency this past offseason, even though there was a little bit of a renaissance in terms of money, a lot of the teams also just looked at them as interchangeable.
Yep.
Like, Aaron Jones in Green Bay. all right, we're just going to sign Josh Jacobs. It's fine. Like, same back.
Yeah.
And
Even
Joe
the
Mixon
Giants,
left Cincinnati and just
The
goes to
Giants-
Houston.
Yeah, and the Giants letting Saquon walk and go to Philly. Like,
Right.
Right. So the Giants, who was the back in Philly that left to Carolina?
Swift. Yeah.
Swift goes,
Oh.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
DeAndre Swift left Philly. I don't know where he went.
Yeah, I think he went to Carolina.
Okay.
He leaves Philly. Philly just says, okay, we'll just take Saquon Barkley. Right? And it was just musical chairs. So what they're really telling you is and you read off the numbers, their numbers were all pretty equal, was that these guys are all kind of the same.
Yeah.
And so that's the only point that I come out with Rhamondre is that we see time and time again that there are really only a handful of running backs that are truly game-changing. And it's prime Derrick Henry, it's Christian McCaffrey. I think early career Nick Chubb was in that category.
It was Kamara for a while. He's dropped off.
Right.
You've seen
So
him. His production is
It's either
is
you're a
diminished.
mismatch in the passing game, like a McCaffrey or Kamara player like that, or guys like Derrick Henry and Nick Chubb are the only a few running backs that you actually can tangibly see how play action with them on the field matters. Like you put Derrick Henry in the backfield and you play action with Derrick Henry in the backfield, defenses are reacting to that run fake more than they would if you have just a regular Joe Schmo at running back. But those are just I could name like 5 or 6 backs where you could say, wins above replacement, like that back is adding significant value to his team, and I just don't know if Rhamondre is in that category.
Is there an argument to be made, though, that we haven't seen the best of Rhamondre Stevenson yet? Because his rookie year, the fumble got benched, right? Like, I mean, kind of Josh McDaniels' offense. Somehow he was uber productive in the Matt Patricia offense. Like, somehow that was what he needed to explode. And then last year fell off, injuries again. I just, there's part of me that still wonders, have we not seen Rhamondre Stevenson in the perfect kind of offense for him that takes full advantage of his skills? And I know 2022 you can make the argument because he was really productive, but at the same time, from what we've heard of that offensive coordinator, they didn't really know what they were doing. So, is there because there's part of me that says we haven't seen
year
his
4
best
or
yet.
5 for a running back. All of a sudden he hits that. That would be kind of.
If they get the production
unique.
that they got from him in 2022 over the next 2 or 3 years of this contract,
Home run,
then it's a fine contract.
Yeah, of course.
But
because it's not blowing the contracts out of the water. It's not that.
Right.
And it's really, to me, I look at the 17 number more than the 36 number.
Me too.
And I haven't seen the whole breakdown. Has someone had that?
Not yet, which I'm curious about, because if it's truly just a 2-year extension, and year 3 really doesn't have a whole lot of guaranteed money, year 4 won't have any, then you can get into a situation where if he does take this precipitous drop off that I think he might because of his age, okay, so in 2 years you just cut ties and you move on.
That's kind of what I'm thinking.
Yeah, if that's what it is, then I'm definitely more on board with it. I will just never be on board with paying a running back.
I wonder too some of the headspace of the front office being that, we got Antonio Gibson here. He's an unknown quantity, but Rhamondre is due to be up. I mean, you really have 2 running backs. We don't know anything about the rest of those guys if they're going to be able to play at the NFL level. Are they just trying to avoid saying, look, we don't want to just go back into the draft next year and get another kid that doesn't really know what they're doing? And I'm sure that they will, and they'll probably develop somebody, but we'd rather sign Rhamondre Stevenson than have to go out and sign DeAndre Swift or just play musical chairs. Let's just keep our guy.
I just wonder if they could have signed this same contract at the end of the season.
Yeah.
And there's no way of knowing that for sure. So I'm not trying to come off as the know-it-all. I don't. Maybe they couldn't have. Maybe this is a bargain.
Yeah. I like that, Paul, because I think that if he had a full year where he was more available, healthy, and productive, got another 1,000-yard season, I think I would be more inclined to give him that contract.
Yeah, and I just wonder how much more would he have been in line for?
When he got up to 12.
Now,
when he
Evan
got
just
up to
sort of explained to you, they're just moving around. Like it's, your guy and my guy. And I'm going to get them all for this, I'm surprised that Joe Mixon is less than that. I think Joe Mixon is a more productive bet. Now he's in a much better offense. So
right. Well,
maybe Stevenson's a better player and he would look that good.
Yeah.
It's
Also,
also
off the field.
it was a bad class. It was a bad draft class.
true,
And then if you're playing musical chairs, you don't know if you're going to get somebody with the exact same production. I just think it's a safe, well-deserved contract. I don't know. I don't think you're losing anything.
Yeah, it's not about him, but he did this
it's the big picture.
I agree with Evan. The running back position as a whole has just changed so much the past couple of years. I think it's crazy that Saquon Barkley was available to just leave and go to his rival.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's just
the other thought I had about this though is, do you guys think that there's any vestige of? And we always felt like Bill Belichick. I mean, I felt, and maybe you guys disagree, but it always felt like his philosophy leaned towards defenses are getting lighter to play the pass. I want to get heavier and more physical to try to take advantage of those defenses. And that was the only other thought that I had of, them kind of re-upping on Wenyu, making sure they had Hunter Henry in the mix. Not that he's a huge contributor in the run game, but then also, adding Rhamondre into that mix. I don't know. It's just another kind of thought I had about the situation.
Like, that's what I'm just saying. He was under contract, and I think they could have protected themselves by waiting.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it would have cost them much more to wait. Let's put it that way.
Well, that's what I said.
I think they're
Paul,
just trying to keep him happy.
Right? Is he getting up to $14 million off a great year like Taylor?
I don't see it.
I don't see it. I mean, maybe he gets up into that 12 range with, again, Josh Jacobs, Saquon. Those are the guys.
Like, do you see him in that? Like, maybe I'm being disrespectful to Stevenson, who I like a lot. I'm going to say that again and over again. But I don't look at him as
like
those
he did
guys.
In 2022, then he's probably in that tier.
Like, is he as good as Josh Jacobs? Like, was in 22 when he led the league in didn't he have like 1,600 yards?
Yeah, but he.
Yeah.
Probably not. Probably not.
Like, I don't look at him as that kind of a dynamic runner.
No.
Probably not.
Yeah, 1,700.
It's just it's a whole thing with me that I will always hold true. Is just I just have no time for the running back position. Like, you can just it's just pretty crystal clear that there's a handful of guys that are different, and there's a whole lot of everybody else,
which is fine in most offenses, right?
And it just Josh Jacobs, now at this point, Saquon Barkley, Aaron Jones, like DeAndre Swift, Rhamondre Stevenson. I can find that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You might be just dealing with McCaffrey at this point.
Yeah, I can find
Right.
those guys.
I feel like if I was an opposing defense and I was preparing to play the Patriots, I feel like Rhamondre Stevenson, you have to respect him, absolutely, but he's not someone that you feel like you have to game plan your whole defense around.
No.
Like, you have to respect him, know that he's there, but it's not like McCaffrey where you're like...
It's more of a general game plan. Like, we know they're going to try to power up and run the football. We need to be ready to stop the run.
Yeah.
Saquon's rookie year where they just stack the box.
Yeah, and maybe the two kids that got drafted last year, with Robinson and Gibbs, those two guys we might be talking about them like McCaffrey, because I think we've seen some dynamic skills from both of them, especially Gibbs.
Yeah.
So maybe we're talking about those kinds of guys a little bit more in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one thing I will say on the pro side is that they're going to have some significant needs at premium positions next year in the draft. And if this takes running back out of the top 100 in terms of the needs, and now maybe it's just a day 3 need to add, another back into the mix, then at least you can look at it that way and say, all right, you don't have to use the 34th overall pick in the second round on a running back now, because you have Stevenson under contract, you have Gibson under contract, so you're more set at that position. And I would be even more grotesquely upset if they took a running back early. So that's even worse than paying one. So I guess in that sense, it's a little bit of a positive that they have something there now to show for it over. That was a big thing. Their roster really after this year. There's a lot of guys that are up for free agency now. They've extended a few of them, but they don't have a whole lot of money dedicated to the next couple years. So now, you do have to have some people under contract.
And there's not very many guys under contract through 28, right?
Yeah. No, it's low. I mean, and
now he would be one now, right?
Yeah.
Is Barmore also?
I'd have to look.
They both get those extensions a year ahead, so they're tacked on.
It's 5 years. They have
so
5
it's like
years
5
of
years, yeah.
control.
So one more little bit of Patriots news before we get into some off-season nonsense. So we've got some emails coming in. Be sure to send us an email, webradio@patriots.com. Give us a call, 855-PATS-500. But today, crazy, we've announced all of the training camp dates. If you were used to, hey, here's your first 3 days, and then we'll let you know. Those
you
days
asked earlier if you liked it the way Bill did it or the way home run.
Hold on. So 13 practices, which will culminate. I guess what day is the 8/13? So August 13th will be the joint practice, just one against the Eagles to prevent some fights, I guess. But otherwise, Wednesday, July 24th, which is a month from yesterday, training camp will open. All practices a little bit later as well, Paul. We used to have about 9 o'clock usually was when.
I'm a little disappointed at that.
It's going to be toasty.
Yeah.
Can we do some inside baseball on the timing? Because nobody cares except us.
Well, 11 o'clock, people want to come watch. It's not going to be a morning, but you're right, Tease, about the heat, especially if you're going to come watch and sit on those on those benches there, which was, I think, the hottest place other than the sun.
It'll be a little hotter from 11 to 1-ish than it would be from 9 to 11.
At first, when I heard this, I was like, "Oh, that's good," because now I don't have to wake up at like 6 o'clock in the morning to be here by 8:30 a.m.
Sound the opposite,
right? And then, but then I thought about it some more. But then I'm like, yeah, but then we were done by like 2 or
Paul's
3,
thing.
and we were out of here, and we had the rest of our day. Now, I mean, trust me, nobody cares, nor should you. But the 11, it changes things.
Yeah.
It definitely changes our schedule throughout training camp. For sure.
But you already know all of the dates right now, and you can find those. I'm sure that our listeners have already found them because they're a little bit, more nuanced than the average fan.
Patriots.com.
Yeah, and I think it's great too, especially for the people, like you always see fans that travel from so far. They can really go ahead and lock down hotels, Airbnbs, whatever it is, and plan their trip.
Which, let's just take a second to pitch it to people, because if you haven't gone to see training camp, I mean, I would say do it over a preseason game. It's free. There's entertainment for the kids. You're close. Especially if you come for the Eagles joint practice, you're going to see some real competitive periods. You're going to see, probably Drake May.
Deuce and Tamara,
right?
Hyping the crowd.
We are going to hype the crowd, whipping them into a frenzy. But it's a great time, and just if you're a Patriots fan and you have a chance to make it out for training camp, it's a great day. Bring your sunscreen though, because it does get hot. But there's plenty of refreshments, and it's just a great thing for the fans, and hopefully we can get some good energy in to see some of these young guys. So I don't know, anything else on training camp, guys?
Just a different vibe. There's one joint practice. It's here with Philly, so we're not going on the road at all, except for the preseason, obviously. But it just, we know the times already. It's going to be later in the day, so it's definitely going to be different.
It's nice to just kind of have things sized up instead of, I don't know what's going on next weekend. Like, we don't know. Now we know what days we have off.
It would be so tough. It'd be like Friday, practice would wrap up. You're like, so do I need to come in tomorrow or Monday?
It'd be Friday, and you didn't know if you were going to have practice on Sunday.
No, because you want to get home for Friday to have a Bud Light. And because easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the New England Patriots, which actually I don't know if this is legal, Paul. Maybe we'll go to you on this. But my son won the Little League World Series, Little League Majors Championship in our town. But the coach handed me
it was Sharon.
It was Sharon, right? It was a nail biter. But right after the victory, the coach handed me he slipped me a Bud Light in a cup too. He thought, and I'm like, can I drink on a Little League field?
Now, do you recall when I was talking about those stories?
Town League championship.
That I specifically remember growing up. Right? You remember that story? I specifically remember growing up, and there was this guy who coached one of the other teams, and we're just like waiting to practice, and he had like a beer can, but he had the wrap around
the Pepsi wrap.
That was like a Pepsi thing. And I remember him drinking it, throwing it away, and taking it, and we were like looking, and he gave us a wink as he's putting it in his pocket. And I'm like, this was probably like 1977. You would like to think that doesn't happen anymore
it does.
in this day and age, but evidently it does.
Well, our head coach was very excited. I told Paul this. He like right after we won, his wife came running over with like a shopping bag. I'm like, what's going on here? And he pulls out, she bought like 10 like seltzer waters, but flavored seltzer waters too. And
like
so
champagne.
he had everybody get around and shake them all up. And, in the midfield, he's like, we should all brought our goggles too. So yeah, it was crazy. He was very excited. So
that's fun. The seltzer water thing, I haven't really seen that. That's kind of fun.
It was flavored.
The beer on the field. You better hope no one saw you, Deuce. Now that you just told hundreds of thousands of
PDs coming to
Paul,
knock knock.
It's easy to drink and it's easy to enjoy. What was I going to pass it up?
I mean, it is, and you can't just have someone hand one to you and you not take part.
Easy to disguise. I was pouring it in my red cup. It was like you're back in the college days where you got to do that. But well, I think we set the table pretty well here, Paul.
You did a great job,
Mike.
You did great. Fred would be so proud.
We got good Godchaux, Stevenson.
We're too much on the rails though right now.
I know. Well,
we gotta get.
I'm getting itchy. You can tell.
Well, that's why we got some emails that I gotta dive in here. I don't know. I haven't read this one, but let's just dive in. Paul, I have a self-propelled Cobalt push mower, and I have a quarter lot, and I can mow my yards twice on one charge. My question is, what are some weird, satisfying things you all like? I enjoy the smell of gasoline in the morning when you drop a large rock in the water from a distance and see it splash. That's Chris from VA, a couple random ones.
Certainly.
I've spoken on record how much love mowing lawn though. That's like
I do enjoy.
Then you just look at it and the lines.
Matter of fact, I may leave shortly after this program today to go home and
Mow the lawn?
Mow the lawn.
That's gonna feel good. I don't know. What do you guys think? Anybody got a
Any weird
Breaking
things?
ice.
weird? Ooh.
Breaking
What?
ice.
Like if you take ice like out of like a bucket or something, stuff that just froze overnight, and then you just drop it and it shatters.
Satisfying.
Oh yeah.
That is strange.
You've never seen those
No.
those videos?
No.
Oh come on.
Mm-mm.
Talking to the wrong crowd.
It's the same thing.
Pressure. What are those things? The pneumatic press that like all the 3 different teams did.
Oh, the hydraulic press thing.
Hydraulic press.
We're so,
What did I call it?
We're so petty. As a whole entity.
Some
we're
people
so
find that
petty.
some people
You
find
know,
that
like,
satisfying.
You
though,
know,
I
thinking
feel
you
like
like
crush.
3 teams did.
I don't know, like 17 teams did.
Well, I mean, it's not wrong. I
I
mean,
mean, how many more teams are you? I digress.
a question here from
Close.
Travis in West Virginia.
I'm out.
After the 6/12/24 event, Paul mentioned that a common theme he heard was that the ceremony offered closure for a lot of people. Do you feel this is normal? Should people need closure for sports or sports figures? Personally, I feel those people should seek counseling and not watch sports in the first place. Thanks, Travis.
I don't get that.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
the point I was trying to make was just that a lot of those people that were part of the Tom Brady night left, and like you didn't know they were leaving.
Didn't get their flowers.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. Like,
Well,
I mean,
it was just the
obviously
middle of
Tom,
COVID,
but like
too.
Randy Moss, Welker,
Gronk.
Gronk. These are like iconic figures of the Patriots who all left, not necessarily of their own accord, and the fans didn't really get a chance to, send them off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not like when I say that like they needed closure, it's not like the fans were like in therapy for the last 5 years.
Just want to show their
Like,
appreciation.
yeah, I thought that was what the Randy Moss ovation was to me. Was that like he left in the middle of a season, and the fans had no idea he was going to leave.
Yeah. Also
I would
feel
say the
like
same
he
thing
also-
with Bill
go-
too.
go
I
ahead.
would say the ovation that Bill got too. Like the fans didn't get to properly thank Bill. It wasn't like the Jets game that they got 3 minutes to clap for him after that game. They didn't
Right.
know.
Yeah.
And,
I mean,
and that was the only point I was trying to make about the closure. When you know someone's leaving, if someone's announced their retirement or whatever, you get a chance to properly send them off.
Yeah,
Not
it's
because,
definitely
like,
closure.
well, you got to get perspective in life because you need No, that's not what I meant. It's just
yeah,
flowers.
I
Yeah,
watched.
like T
I
said.
watched the. You told me to watch the All Access, which they did the behind the scenes. But
I told you to watch it.
yeah, you said, "Did you watch it?" And I said, "I hadn't watched it." And then I
Oh,
did watch
okay.
it, All Access. But I love
story.
just the recap of kind of the show, which it kind of condensed it down into 20 minutes. So, it was like, wow, it made the highlights look really good. But like, go right down the list. Like Willie McGinnis played for the Browns. Ty Law was on the Jets for a period of time. Like Vince Wilfork ended up on the Texans.
There's so many of those guys that didn't. I mean, now most of those guys got a chance because they're all in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, right.
But like Moss, Welker, Gronk, obviously Brady, and then
Matt Castle.
Tamara's right about Bill
I didn't
too,
say goodbye to Matt
because
Castle.
I think that the Dynasty documentary got a lot of people upset about the treatment for Bill, and I think that was part of that ovation as well.
Yeah, and the word that came to my mind wasn't necessarily closure. I mean, I do see the closure, but it's just a celebration of how awesome it was. And some of the behind-the-scenes stuff that I thought was cool in the All Access piece was Randy and Wes and Edelman and Gronk talking before they went on stage, and Randy was first kind of talking about how he and Wes kind of were there early, and then Edelman and Gronk carried on, but. Like Randy's giving like Wes, you remember this like signal right? He'd be like in the middle of his cadence.
Welker's
I'm
like,
trying to do.
I'm not doing this.
Randy's just like, and he'd make like this little fake signal that Brady would make, and both Edelman and Wes were like, I forget what the word was that they said.
Wes, you remember,
like he get like and
then Welker's like, well, yeah, it's like 3G, It's
right.
like-
But just that was what was cool.
and
to
Evan's
me.
like, actually,
I think when we
I don't
we
give
did
away the
the
hand signals.
yeah when we did the show a couple weeks ago, I felt like I was so still in it and just kind of getting over it. Now we've had some distance from it. It was really cool. It was just cool celebration and to see when it was edited down to just the highlight moments, you realize just how much of an impact all these different guys made over the course of the last 20 years. And that was, to me, it was awesome. It was so fun. It was just cool to have a chance to let everybody kind of let out all the angst and everything from people leaving and everything. It became a celebration of that 20 years that was awesome. And, I think it was much needed. I don't know. As the more I get away from it, the more I'm like, what a night. How did that happen?
It turned into like a celebration of the dynasty more than just a celebration of Brady.
Yeah.
And I think that as much as we picked on you about the what are they called? The
panels.
Panels. Thank you. As much as
Yeah.
we picked on you about those, that did kind of set the stage of the generations, and he was here the whole time, but Willie wasn't, and Ty Law wasn't, and then they passed the torch to Devon, and then it kept on going and going, and it felt like it could have easily been called like we're gonna celebrate this dynasty night, and it would have been kind of the same thing. It would have been mostly about Tom, but it was also a lot of it was about other things, and I feel like Randy Moss is he talks so much about how he's the only one without a ring, and he's like so disappointed about that. And I feel like that applause was also partially like, well, we won 6 other times, so like it's okay that you didn't get, like, we're okay with it, it's fine, we're all okay with it, like we can recognize how great you were and all that kind of stuff.
It's crazy because, like, as we were saying, it kind of felt like a big reunion, but just showed how long it was because you have Willie McGinnis and Drew Bledsoe there, but then, like, Deuce, we're standing next to Stephon Gilmore, which low-key was 3 years ago, but, like, that's just, like, the complete opposite end of the dynasty, so it was just great to yeah, more or less. It was great to just see everybody there. So, I don't know, it was very special as a fan to be there.
Oh, this is a good Celtics question. Let's just delete that one.
Wow, a true hater.
I'm in charge today.
It's a good question. Read the question.
No, I don't know. It was really long. It's just
Oh.
that Celtics Unfiltered. All right, I'll just jump into a little bit of it.
It definitely doesn't like that word. Doesn't like it.
I don't know if there's even a question in here, but I'm going to read the first and the last paragraph. I just want to chime in. This is from Matt and Devon, UK. Just wanted to chime in on the NBA talk from last week. I was an avid NBA viewer from 2000 to about 2018, but just cannot watch it anymore. Not because of the old timer from last week complaining about the style of play. I think it's just the evolution of the game. For me, it's because of the LeBron effect. I think that LeBron has killed the NBA because instead of being like the greats who believed in their own talents and worked hard to improve and win, LeBron realized that he couldn't win unless he had a super team, so had 4 Hall of Famers on the Miami team to help him win. I'm a Lakers fan, but I'm happy the Celtics won, as I like the way they built their core through the draft, and their players didn't keep jumping ship when they were coming up short. Do you guys want to opine on the LeBron of it all?
There's definitely an element to that, but I actually think it's starting to come back the other direction, which is good for the league. But last handful of champions, you have Celtics, homegrown, Denver. Homegrown, Golden State, homegrown, Milwaukee, homegrown. The last 4 or 5 titles have been draft develop type teams. So there was definitely an era that
the dream team
gonna take my talents to South Beach. Like that definitely
Yeah,
had an
and
impact.
Durant, sort of went and did it with Golden State,
But then he didn't do it with Phoenix.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's a little older now, but
Yeah.
the teams that are trying to do that now are losing to the teams, as Evan just said,
100%.
that are homegrown. Now, this is just proof that you can't please everyone because now the complaint is there's too much parity.
Right.
You got I think this is 6 different
Yes.
title winners the last 6 years. What happened to the dynasties? Well, when they had the dynasties, you didn't like that either.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I mean, like even Dallas, Luka's obviously a draft pick, and then Ant Edwards with Minnesota. That team's going to be good for a while with him. Like all these guys were drafted.
Towns, yeah, I mean, Minnesota's
team.
another example of those
So,
kinds of teams.
I don't necessarily. I hear what the emailer is saying that there was definitely an era where that.
Yeah, and
probably
that
right
bothered
when-
me. I'm with
Yeah.
I'm with the email. Because to me, it's one thing, and I know this is going to sound like the most homerific statement ever, but like in 08, you could make an argument that the Celtics were ahead of the curve with the, super team, rigging it, but they made trades. Like Minnesota wanted to trade Garnett. Garnett didn't want to come to the Celtics. They had to really convince him. And that's why they went out and got Ray Allen, because it sort of helped convince. So it's not the same as LeBron said, hey, I'm going to sign with Miami. So everybody else did too. Like, to me, there's a difference there.
Yeah.
And I don't like LeBron. And that, so that kind of bothered me. I'm with the emailer on that, but
Do you like Bronny?
that's going to be funny.
I don't think he's ready.
That's going to be funny.
It's not good.
He's not ready.
Did you not order food, Paul? There's no food for us today?
We have no food today.
Oh, jeez.
Unless did you want food?
No, I just, that's what we usually do. We order pizza.
Well, I
time.
figured I was leaving shortly after the show,
Oh,
so
right.
I didn't really need to
You
eat.
got a lawn to mow.
I got a lawn to mow.
Well, this is another little off the beaten path story or question here from Kyle.
Kyle.
Pembroke. Do you guys have a favorite story about meeting a celebrity? Mine is last year on our final day at Disney World. My girlfriend and I were sat next to the one and only Rob Ninkovich and his family at breakfast. I waited until they were done to finally say hi because I didn't want to be a rude fan. He was really nice, and even to take a picture with me without asking. It made my day, and it honestly made the vacation better. Did you ever meet Rob Nikovich, Paul?
I have. I'm not sure. Like, I have anybody that would call. I mean, and this is gonna sound obnoxious, and I don't mean it. They're not celebrities to us.
Yeah.
Because we
The
cover
players, right?
So, like, to me, would have to be someone outside of sports, and I don't know that I've been
J-Lo?
around a
Oh
lot
wait,
of people.
I have one.
I didn't meet her.
Oh, wow.
I mean,
No.
we did.
You did have a moment?
We did enjoy a moment, but
I would agree with Paul in the sense that like I don't look at any of these athletes as celebrities. They're just
Yeah.
normal
What about
human
real
beings.
celebrities, though? You ever meet Law and Order? Like, what if Jerry
Yes.
Orbach was walking down the
Mariska?
hall?
Meeting Mariska, aka Olivia Benson. In
Right,
person,
that was one.
That was probably the coolest day of my life.
That's a good
that
one.
is the
Coolest
coolest
day of my life.
meeting that I could ever imagine anyone. And I'm being dead serious.
Yeah.
Like for Tamara to meet her.
Oh,
was
yeah.
just so perfect.
It reminded me of a time a friend of mine named Angelica Witherspoon Casanova. She's a really cool name. She's a huge Star Trek fan, and number 2 came in. Does anyone know who number 2 is?
Yeah, right.
Oh God, it's Jonathan Frakes, I think is his name. He's a big Star
Frakes
Trek
is
guy.
correct.
Thank you, Matt Morrell. I knew you would know.
Matt in the sky.
It's correct.
Such a
I'm not a Star Trek guy, but she was a huge and he came into the office and she like met him and she was like, and he was so nice to her, like, and called her a Trekker because I guess Trekkie is kind of like they don't like to. But Matt, is that right? Trekkie's bad.
It's Trekker.
Correct.
Trekker
Correct.
is. And he's like, oh, you're a Trekker, and went right. So that was. I mean, it was not for me, but for somebody kind of similar, that huge fan of a show, and then to get to actually meet somebody from the show. But what about you, Evan? You got anybody in L.A. while you were out there gallivanting around?
I'm sure there was, but nobody memorable,
Yeah.
to be honest. I did meet Draco Malfoy one time. He was at a bar that we were at,
I don't know who that is.
which was hilarious because it was like that's a very, as you know, like those types of like C-list level celebrities are just always like around in LA, and it's like
Wizard, Harry.
it's like not even cool to meet them. They're just like it's kind of like how we feel about the Patriots. Like they're still people, you know. But to other people, that's like what you know. So
I will say, Bobby Orr called the Herald once, and I answered.
Or do you have a gripe about a?
No, he was looking for Joe Fitzgerald at the time, and when I hung up the phone, I called my father. It's like Bobby Orr just called.
yeah,
He's like,
I would say like
that's
that.
cool.
That's what I would say for athletes that aren't on the Patriots that we don't see all the time. You know, like I run into Brad Marchand in Starbucks all the time. And every single time I do, I'm like, this is the best thing ever.
God.
So you just
Oh God.
Yeah.
What's up?
Be cool. Be
yeah,
cool. Be
exactly.
cool. Hey, man.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Hey.
it's so funny because
Remember that time you licked the guy's face? That was pretty cool.
he literally goes into Starbucks after I wasn't there at this time, but
Your spies were.
He went into Starbucks after they beat Toronto in Game 7, like just this year, and just walks in and is like, order for Brad. And, like, of course, everybody turns around and is like, so, of course, he has to stay there and take pictures with, like, 15
That's
people
hilarious.
and everything. But, yeah, he goes to the Starbucks. I don't want to give away which one it is.
No, you'll have everybody.
Yeah, but he goes to a Starbucks near the Garden.
I'm surprised Jess isn't the one who's picking up the Starbucks orders because
Well, the first time that it happened, she was like, "We need to go back.
If
We
it
need
was,
to go back."
if it was Allmark, she would have been.
No, and I was like, "No, we can't go back. Like that's extra. Like I already said good luck to him. Like in casually. Like we're not gonna go back."
He pet my dog in the Charlestown
I like
pet
that.
store.
What does that
Oh,
mean?
wow.
My puppy.
Oh.
We
What is that?
what is going on?
That happened with.
Wow.
He's not on the Bruins anymore, but that happened with Taylor Hall. So Taylor Hall had a dog and had a Vizsla, and he,
Atlas Maldum.
no, they did play together in a dog park though.
Appointment for that. I think.
And I was like looking at him, and I was like, pretty sure that's Taylor Hall, but I like wasn't 100% sure, so I didn't want to just be like, you're Taylor Hall, right? So I just kind of like played it cool, but it was definitely him.
I met the guy who played Theon Greyjoy from Game of Thrones.
Love
in
that. That's a
passing.
good one.
Yeah, that was real passing. It was he wasn't sober, let's say. We'll leave it at that. But he was a cool guy.
Doesn't seem like a guy
I would
who'd be
love to
sober.
meet.
No.
I would love to meet Sandra Bullock. I think that's another one that I would.
Sandy.
I saw
Sandy.
Tammy Taylor in passing.
the dang ball.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
You just want to say that to her.
I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
One more.
Connie
one,
Britton.
I was gonna say
Oh, Connie Britton. I've met her.
I'm a big fan.
Why is that, Paul?
Because I think she's hot.
One more.
I thought that was pretty apparent by my tone.
One more Patriots question, guys. And Paul and I actually mentioned this. Mike Reese had some notes in his Sunday column this week. He mentioned Josh Uche as one guy practicing off to the side, speculating perhaps he might not, be
It's
happy.
funny, I meant to talk to you off air about that.
With the deal? Oh, all right. Maybe we can talk about it on air. But Yemi in Texas writes in and said, do you guys think Josh Uche is upset? He took somewhat of a pay cut, while his teammates are all getting paid.
But I thought the articles that came out when he got his deal allegedly said that he
Golf
was
clap for
cool.
Tamara Brown.
Right.
I thought he was cool with the pay cut. I thought he wanted to
Can't
stay
have
here.
it both ways.
Right.
Like, which one is it? Like, you got other deals from other people for more money, but you took less to stay here because this is where you want to be.
And
Which
you knew
one
how
is
the
it?
market was going to be, so that was a choice on your own.
Yeah.
Like,
So that was my takeaway, and that's why I said I meant to talk about this off air with Mike, and you just nailed it. Like, he signed a 1-year, $3 million deal, if I recall.
Something like that.
And he was universally applauded for it. Like, this guy could have gotten this from that team and that from this team, but he wanted to be here. Now, I'm not telling you what Mike Reese wrote, and that's why he was off to the side, maybe. But my guess is Mike is right.
Mm-hmm.
My guess is Mike knows that that's one of the guys that Mayo was talking about when he said we have a few guys in that situation. You can't be, like, sort of lauded for taking less and then be complaining about your contract.
Has that ever
And
happened?
again, at the time, I said that did not pass the sniff test. 1 year, $3 million, he signs, and everybody says, oh, he passed up. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. This is telling you he didn't. Because if he's now holding out for more money, he didn't have options to get more money.
But that's the concern that we were talking about earlier of now everybody's going to come knocking on the door looking for more money when you're giving out contracts left and right, and these players are fully aware that they have $45 million in cap space that they're sitting on.
Of course.
They're fully aware of that. So they're like, you're giving out contracts left and right. Pat's cap has $45 million as his salary cap number, so it's not going to hurt you in terms of the bottom line.
Right.
Where's mine? And Joshua Uche is another example of a guy that all you are right. Like, he has no leg to stand on. You signed the contract, but at the same time, he's going to look at it and say, well, where's mine?
Yeah, it's in Cincinnati or somewhere.
Right.
apparently.
And I do, the premise of why he stayed here, I agree with. He probably really felt it was important that he wanted to stay here. So in doing so, there's probably some truth. It's like they're never black and white. There's probably some truth to the fact. Yeah, I'll take one and three. Okay, yeah, I want to be here. I believe in Gerard Mayo. I want to, but then he, like Evan says, now he starts to see all of these guys, some of which weren't even free agents,
Right.
getting contracts, and now he's like, well, wait a minute. Like, I said I wanted to be here, but now I've gotten taken advantage.
I didn't know you were going to pay people.
Right, and I
know we
do
were
like,
paying
and I did talk, and I know that Mayo and Wolf have said a lot of the stuff throughout the offseason, but I did get a chance to talk to Gerard specifically about the desire to keep as many players that he felt comfortable with, and that was important to him. All the stuff that we've talked about, we've sort of, opined on, like why Owenu and Duggar and Henry and Bourne, and there's a reason for that, because they felt comfortable with the guys that they knew and wanted to pay those guys and keep them as part of the nucleus and part of the culture building. And I think Uche is probably in that. But I think Evan's right. When you want to try to establish that you're going to do things a little bit of a different way and you want to sort of be player friendly, you do have to run the risk of everybody wanting to be treated player friendly. Mm-hmm. And at some point, they're not all the same. You have to decide who you want to pay and who,
Right.
Who's more important for your culture moving forward. So I do think, the fact that Godchaux's looking for more money, it's probably because he's seen what's gone on in the offseason, and there's a new sheriff in town.
Has it ever happened that a guy signed a free agency deal in March and then gets like a
Is
new
already
contract
disgruntled?
in July? Like he worked so well in the offseason.
But I'm so glad that, Tamara, you said that, because that's the first thing I thought of Sunday when I read that. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, well, wait a minute. Everybody said that this guy was like,
we thought he was gruntled. and now
Andrew
he seems
Carnegie for taking less money. Now, I thought he was gruntled. Now he's disgruntled.
Yeah, but you start to give, not
is
even
it
just
Dale,
the
is it Dale
extensions.
Carnegie, not Andrew? I think I missed that one.
I think you were talking about.
Sorry.
All right. Well, nobody's food's here.
Here's in the middle of talking.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay.
I was
It's
about
okay.
the Celtics.
It wasn't that important at
It
the
wasn't
point.
about the Celtics.
All right, we're going to take a
Really
quick break,
hates the
though. But
Celtics,
first,
huh?
Respect us.
summer
No.
is
You
here,
noticed that?
folks,
Yes.
which means it's time to turn off that alarm and sleep in thanks to Bob's Discount Furniture. Save big by bundling Bob's Bobopedic mattresses with your choice of fantastic adjustable bases full of fun features like charging ports, underbed lighting, and Bluetooth speakers. So stop in and sleep better with Bob's Discount Furniture, the official furniture store of the New England Patriots.
Whether you're in the game or betting on the game, you'll need a game plan. DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the New England Patriots, provides you with everything you need to build your personal betting game plan so you can get in on all the action while practicing safe bets. Visit DraftKings.com/responsible-gaming to learn more about all the safe betting tools DraftKings has to offer. Hope is here, 800-327-5050 or gamblinghelplinema.org. Must be 21 plus. Play it smart from the start. GameSenseMA.com. Physically present in Massachusetts. See DraftKings.com/responsible-gaming for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources.
Isn't it time to get exactly what you want? Welcome to Red Hot Deal Days from Verizon, where you get your pick of our best deals. Like My Plan, where you can pick the perks you want and save on every one. For limited time, bring your own phones to a Verizon store and you can get My Plan for our best price ever. Get exactly what you want in your phone plan and only pay for what you need. Bring your phones to your Verizon store today and get My Plan. These deals won't last. It's your Verizon.
Patriots Unfiltered halftime show. Chris and Matisse coming to fill the break while the real host Paul's food is here. Great time. They'll be right back. Matisse and Chris holding it down while the PU crew gets fat. The behind the scenes .comers in charge of tweets and bloggers. But Matisse and Chris can't speak to this. MVPs and red seat and sit while we sit and speak to keep it lit. Patriots Unfiltered halftime show. Chris and Matisse coming to fill the break while the real host
Back again. Been a while. Patriots halftime show. Matisse Bauman, Chris Cassidy. The dust, we could say, has the dust officially settled?
It might have settled.
It's settled. But, guys, since we've been off the air for a couple shows, you didn't get our reaction to the TB12 induction ceremony. So 10 days later, maybe 15 days later, you're getting it.
Yeah.
So, Chris, what did you think of the show?
I mean, honestly, I would give it a 9.2 out of 10 production. I thought it was awesome. The whole cast was amazing. Just everything about it. It was so well put together, well choreographed. I thought the people that came up to spoke did a great job. The speeches were awesome. Bill's speech, it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Very powerful. Robert did a great job, I thought. RKK did a great job on stage. So, I thought, just really awesome overall.
It was. I don't really have anything negative to say about it. It was kind of. I know they mentioned this on Unfiltered, right after the show, but it kind of felt like the only downside is that it kind of just felt like that was really the end.
Right.
But there was something sweet about it. It was bittersweet, but just seeing Randy get his flowers and even the Bill situation, it didn't end too hot here.
Yeah.
But that press conference wasn't really Bill got emotional during the press conference thanking the fans. But the fans didn't really get to say goodbye, and he's gonna get his own ceremony or whatever. But
yeah, it'll not to cut you off, but that'll be an interesting one. I'm curious how that'll be handled. You can't do what you did for Brady.
Yeah.
Give Bill something.
Yeah, and I don't know if he'd want that.
No.
But dude, I'm talking. The 07 thing was such a crazy season, but just seeing Randy tearing up and I was getting goosebumps.
That was one of my favorite parts, was the whole standing ovation for Randy, and the poor guy never got one.
I know.
And that was
one of the best receivers of all time.
And that's what he wanted. He never got one.
I also loved Brady shouting out the linemen, because that is just the most unforgiving job.
Backbones.
And, ground and pound, and they kept him clean.
The backbones of the offense.
One of Brady's best attributes is that he didn't really miss games due to injury, because those guys were his wall.
Yeah.
Another part I loved is just seeing the Brady the Barstool guys full circle, get the picture with him. That was awesome.
That's
just,
great. They were great. I mean, Dave will forever be a New England Patriot fan.
Yeah.
That whole crew and what they did in 2014, 2015, just so much energy behind it.
It kind of, because like, I just don't think people understand how much work went into this. Because I mean, Chris, you started around here a couple weeks before week one, and that was insane in its own.
Yeah, that was my introduction to the jobs that we do here.
Yeah.
And I thought that was going to be a crazy posting day. I'm on Patriots social media, so I thought that was going to be a crazy day. But this past one was just.
It was something. It's like you're looking left, you're looking right, and it's just a different celebrity, a different Patriots legend. It just felt like a big Foxborough reunion.
And that's why we do it, though. Like, it's fun, makes our jobs more enjoyable when we're able to do those types of things, because like we want to give people what they want to see, and like that's exactly what happened.
I think Evan or Alex said it, but like the stadium was sold out, more or less, aside from like obviously the view behind the stage because they didn't sell those seats, but like. Those are the diehards. Those are the people that were in the trenches for like every game, the highs and the lows, and just kind of honestly also felt like a kickoff to summer in a way because it was like the most beautiful night ever. Just sunny, warm. You could just wear a T-shirt. You could wear your Brady jersey. I don't know. It was great. It was perfect.
You mentioned the diehards. I was with one of our videographers out on the tailgates pre-show, and I mean these people, just the amount of energy that they had surrounding this event and how much Tom Brady meant to them just because of the years of losing that they had to experience.
Yeah, Bill Burr's opening talked about it.
Yeah, and it was just funny. Like, they would say to me, "You look young." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm 23." They're like, "What?" They're like, "All you know is winning." And I was like, "Yeah, it was amazing."
Yeah, I mean.
Now I'm feeling the back half of this right now, so trying to figure that all out. But.
So I started the bye week of 2019 of Tom's last season, and so like. It was just, and think about just how much stuff has happened from 2019 to then. But it was just kind of crazy to like truly get to see him in the stadium. Like, I mean, I went through the Bucks game when he came back, and then week one. But it was awesome. It was truly awesome. Just like a peak moment. I almost hit up my old manager who hired me, just saying thank you for hiring me, because like that was awesome. Yeah. That was worth everything we worked for.
The show was exactly what it needed to be. I thought, again. Robert delivered it perfectly, saying that this show, like, Tom deserved more than just one halftime performance of week one.
Yeah.
Like, it needed to be something like this, and the way it was put together and the stories, and even having Peyton Manning up as a guest,
it also
was awesome.
It was so Patriot-centric because I don't see how his Pro Football Hall of Fame induction will one up this, because this was truly just Patriot centric. Right. Like, there's going to be more of an NFL like topic for Canton, but I don't know. It was perfect.
Yeah, we'll cross that Canton road when we get there in a couple years.
So I got one more question for you before we go back, and he announced the statue. Okay, we don't know when it's being made. Assume it's this season, right? I think they mentioned that. But
he mentioned
the question I want to know is what do you think the pose is going to be? And what do you want it to be?
I want it to be 6th ring holding up the trophy photo.
Okay.
Something like that to sort of round out the 6 Super Bowls.
I want the Brady like run out, like the let's go.
Yeah.
Just like he's in the old helmet, like just like it's like not even a flex, but he's just like let's go.
I think it'll be. I don't want to say it's going to be something generic, but I think it could also be just. Like you said, the let's go, but like him just like roaring in some sort of way, like him where he has like that face, a scowl.
Yeah, exactly.
Like he's hyping up the crowd or whatever. I think that could be what it is as well. But I would love to see it be some sort of trophy-oriented thing, because that's what he meant to this organization. How many rings he brought here, and his personality, and what he did for the Patriots.
I'm sure it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
But all right, Chris, as always, it's the off season, baby. We're trying to think of something to talk about. We'll keep grinding. But guys, once again, training camp's around the corner, Chris. So we gotta talk about that soon. But as always, thanks for listening. Let's get back to Patriots Unfiltered.
When someone accidentally threw away the school play costumes.
Oh no.
Replacements were shipped with FedEx, and with picture proof of delivery, everyone could focus on the perfect opening night. FedEx, where now meets next. For residential delivery only.
And now, great moments in history.
I just want to help out Dave here. He's from Lancaster, California.
Lancaster.
Says years ago in the show there was a conversation you had about washing machines and how you had to buy a new one. I need your help. I can't remember what brand you said was the best. Speed Queen is where you want to go. Now,
I remember this now that you
Now, the
mentioned
problem
that
with
name.
Speed Queen is you don't get all the bells and whistles. It's not like Samsung or LG where you get this and that and the other steam clean. But if you want just
I believe I have a Samsung
an
that
American,
I've had
if you
for
want
like
an American,
17 years.
if you want an American-made washer with a steel drum that's just going to last, Speed Queen is where you want to go. Now,
Steel drum? That was a
if you
Caribbean
have
band?
if
I
you
gotta
have
check that today.
if you have a huge family though, you might want to go with one of the bigger, brands that you can do bigger loads.
Not a fan of Maytag?
Maytag is good.
Maytag's good.
Durable.
Yeah. But I like Speed Queen.
The problem with all appliances nowadays is they're not built to last.
But that's why you go with Speed Queen.
What's the difference?
Speed Queens are the ones used in the laundromats.
But it's going to go.
What?
But they're built to give you 5 to 10 years.
Not the Speed Queen.
Okay. All the guys that sell all of these different things are wrong. Fred's right. Speed Queen.
Like I said, if you're looking for just a basic
Speed Queen
washer dryer, American made, steel drum, no plastic, you go with the Speed Queen. Now, some people say it's a little tough on the clothes, a little rough on them.
A little tough on the
Now we're
clothes.
going to find out it doesn't clean the clothes. And it makes holes in them.
Steel drum with sharp edges.
I just wanted to help out Dave there.
I'm sure he feels very
Well,
helped
he could
out
be
now.
standing in the store and he needs an answer.
Right. You're right.
Let me.
So tell me about this.
The guy's
Speed
like,
Queen.
"You're calling a radio show?" Yeah, I gotta call the radio show.
And what, I am. I'm standing in the middle of the store and I forgot what Fred said. Let me check in with Fred to see what I should buy.
That's another great moment from
All right, we're back, and no theme song for this show, apparently. Only the halftime show gets Eminem to, I guess it was AI Eminem.
Something like that.
That's pretty good, though.
I wrote the lyrics, guy.
Chris and T. I
was-
like that.
That was a banger.
Back to this washer and dryer.
Oh, here we go.
talk. Fred's
Tamara looked perplexed by it. Have you not heard that before, Fred's pitch man?
I haven't actually heard the original soundbite, so
yeah,
that was
there it is.
fantastic.
That was fire. But also, do you know there are now washer and dryers that are all in one?
Yes, I
That
heard.
is
Oh, we
insane.
had this
I
discussion
heard they're not
last
good
week.
though.
Yeah. On the show?
Yes.
Oh, really?
What do you think? You're the only one that can do nonsense? Evan and I took care of nonsense just fine last week.
We literally did a show
I'm
on
interested in
Thursday
this
that
now.
was about an hour and 45 minutes of nonsense and 15 minutes
about
of football.
appliances.
We opened with the quarterback salary cap.
Oh, yeah. And then that was it.
We exhausted that in 10 minutes and then went right on to lawn
Evan didn't
mowers,
hang
washing
himself from the
machines,
lights?
dryers.
Oh, no. It was me, Paul, and Fred.
Oh,
so just
and
the
Evan
dynamic
was all in.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All
yeah.
in.
Well, I mean, you like washing machine talk?
No,
Is that-
I just think that Fred's hearing the original makes it even better.
It does.
Like his bits of like I know. The
Oh, no.
appliance
Here's
one.
what you need, folks.
Yeah.
Just,
It's
yeah,
so good.
listen to me. Well, that's why he's a good pitch man. Like, he has such
So,
confidence.
What does he have in his house, though? Does he have
Speed
this
Queen.
Speed
He's
Queen?
probably down to a Speed Queen now. I mean, it's
He's
an empty
he has
nester,
a Speed
so
Queen.
just him and his wife, and that's all he needs. But every time you're in like an appliance store, you see a Speed Queen, I have to laugh though, because who else can you think of but Freddie Kirsch? Like,
But
that's
he
it.
didn't convince me with
No?
that because, especially when he
It's
got
tough
to
on the clothes.
the tough on the clothes.
Right. Well,
But-
I didn't know delicate setting.
Well,
apparently.
I went from sort of annoyed with his pomposity to when he said that it's hard on the clothes, I just started laughing. It's like, great. Sounds like the best out there.
Yeah.
It's in laundromats. You know why they put them in laundromats? Because
they're cheap and
they're-
they just never
Yeah.
die.
Correct. They're not like the best.
Right.
They're
They're
just
efficient.
taking a pounding.
Yeah. They've done modern wonders with all that. But we got a good game here from Tyler from Providence. I feel like can kick off our second hour. I kind of like this one. So this is a keep, trade, cut question. All right.
Uh-oh.
We're going to start with the food, and that is going to be the first keep, trade, cut:
There's only right answers here.
lobster roll, chicken fried steak, buffalo wings.
It's a lobster roll, hot or cold.
Good question.
Whatever you want.
Mayo or butter?
You choose. Yeah, and it's your world.
All right, so read
So-
it again.
We're just living it. Lobster, keep, trade, or cut. So
Keeping buffalo wings.
Yep.
keeping the buffalo
Agreed.
wings.
Yep.
I'm gonna cut the chicken fried steak.
Yeah.
Not
I
so
can
much
cut
that
that.
I'm
I can
'cause
cut that and trade the
I
lobster
don't even
roll.
know if
I
that's
think
a
we're-
thing.
Yeah, it is in the South.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
southern. Then I
I've
don't
never
know.
heard of that.
No, and you're our southern representative.
I've
and-
never heard
Well,
of a chicken
chicken
fried
fried
steak.
So do you do lobster rolls hot or cold?
No, it doesn't matter. You're
I like
trading
them.
it.
I like them.
No,
hot.
no, but like how do you?
I like them hot.
I like them hot.
I like them hot.
Me too.
Hot.
I'll eat one with cold with mayo though.
They're too expensive though. I've been priced out of the lobster rolls.
Oh,
I
I hear
can't with
ya.
that.
Well,
Like,
when I
I
used
do
to work
that.
at a restaurant, it's like these things were $35, and it's just me back there just
Right.
jamming cold lobster meat into a hot dog bun.
you can't tell me lobster meat is that rare that they should be close to now $40 a pop.
It's pretty rare.
Like, right?
I
You don't
agree.
like seafood.
I'm
Forget
not-
it.
I don't do the lobster.
We're moving on.
I still
Chicken fried steak. This is the wrong audience for that. Like we're not. That
Yeah.
doesn't-
100%. I'm also the wrong audience for the lobster talk because crab is better.
What about just a fried chicken
Oh.
sandwich? What if we just did fried chicken sandwich?
Well, it depends. Are we
You mean-
talking like spicy? Are we talking
However
Chick-fil-A?
you want.
Like a
So-
Nashville,
so-
Nashville chicken sandwich.
Nashville chicken
all
sandwich.
day.
There
any
you go.
day.
Yeah.
Oh,
Great.
wow.
Delicious.
Those are great.
It is good.
All right, next one is little North End flavor. I don't know if I can speak to all these, but Modern Pastry, Mike's Pastry, or Bova's Bakery.
So like
Keep
low key,
Bova's.
Bova's is kind of the best.
Keep Bova's.
Yeah,
Yeah.
people think that that's a hot take sometimes because the other ones are more popular, but I think Bova's is kind of
Bova's
the
is
best.
gas.
They are
Fire.
definitely Mike's and Modern are definitely sort of the touristy
Yes.
places, but they're both outstanding.
I'm a big like ice cream guy. I love cream, but like cannolis, like they look like they're gonna taste one way, but there's something
And they
missing
don't- they
from
don't hit.
cannolis. Like they don't like. There's just I don't know. There's a sweetness or something missing where it's
There's-
kind of like
they're not overly sweet.
no, it looks like
Yeah.
it should be, but it isn't. And
I would keep
yeah.
Bova's. I would cut Mike's, and you can do away with.
trade Modern. I don't know what you trade it for, but
Yeah.
actors.
Mike's is the one we're trading away.
Adam
No,
Sandler.
cutting.
Adam Sandler, Will Ferrell, Jim Carrey. This is tough because all three of them have movies that I love.
I think I'm going to keep Adam
I think
Sandler.
I'm keeping the Sandman.
Yeah, I
That's
just
hard.
I think I'm gonna keep Ferrell.
I would probably keep Ferrell if all things were equal, but
Farrell hasn't made a good movie in 20 years.
Yeah, but the ones he made are
Neither was Adam
timeless. And
Sandler.
I still laugh at Adam Sandler's
Yeah,
movies.
think
I don't
I'm-
laugh
I'm-
at Will Ferrell
I'm
What was
keeping
the
Adam
last
Sandler.
one?
Grown
Jim
Up
Carrey.
6.
That Halloween
Oh.
movie he came out on Netflix.
Oh, that
had
was
me dying.
so bad.
Grown Up
QB
6.
Halloween.
Grown Up 6.
right. It's just it's Rob Schneider. and,
No, he made
Chris
Hustle.
Rock.
Wasn't a comedy movie, but
I would keep the Sandman because us Jews have to stay locked, in
Oh, yeah.
in step and stride.
Oh, poor Jim Carrey getting cut. Actually, can
Jim
I tell
Carrey
real
would
quick?
probably be the one that I
Get
kick
rid
to
of-
the curb.
yeah.
The other two would be I don't care.
I'm not a big
I
Jim
like-
Carrey
I like
guy
them both.
either.
I think actually Adam Sandler would be my answer for the random celebrity interactions, which I think
Oh,
I probably
yeah.
told you
That's
guys
a good one.
before in Malibu, getting stuck in like an ice cream place with Adam Sandler and like had a Patriots hat on. He just came up, started talking to me, which I kind of regret. Like I didn't like acknowledge like how big of a fan I was. Like I had all his tapes. Remember like the comedy albums he used to put out. Like
That's a good one
I
though,
used to
because I
listen.
bet you he'd be good to just sort of bump into.
Oh, random.
Don't
Oh,
you
yeah.
think?
nice guy,
Oh,
just
yeah.
hey, what, were you a Patriots fan? Like and
you
every
a
people
Knicks
are just
fan?
like pressed up against the glass, like looking
Yeah.
in, and then he just so cool. He's like with his wife and a kid. And he goes to the guy, he's like, "Hey man, sometimes they let us sneak out the back. Is that all right?" And they're like, "Sure." And he just like walked out the back, and everybody's just sitting there waiting for him. But that was
Does it
fun.
count if you meet them at Comic-Con? Because if so, I've met 1,000 of them.
Oh no, it has to be
No.
random.
Celebrities?
Random celebrity encounter.
Yeah,
Nah.
what level of celebrity are we talking about here? at
Brett
Comic-Con?
Spiner, Amy Jo Johnson, Creed Bratton.
Oh, Creed Bratton. Who were the other two?
Nope.
Amy Jo Johnson was the Pink Ranger.
Oh, how could I?
Wow.
No.
And Brett
Still-
Spiner was Data from Star Trek.
Definitely still no.
Favorite write-in game. This is
Fred, I need help.
Keep, trade, cut. Who am I, or would you rather? What's your favorite one of those? When callers or emailers come in, Paul, with different games, do you like keep, trade, cut? Who am I, or would you rather?
I
Keep
li-
trade.
I like Who Am I?
I like Who Am I
Yeah.
as well, but I like all the games.
Yeah.
The people that take the time to set up the games,
We
those are
appreciate
my
it.
people.
Who am I is hard. Really hard.
That's why I like it.
Best alternate
Challenge.
uniform: Cincinnati Snow Bengals, the Denver Orange Crush, or the Chargers Powder Blue.
Chargers.
Chargers,
Ooh.
powder.
Chargers.
I'm
powder
sorry. The
I kind of
the
like the Denver.
You like- you like
Orange
that?
Crush.
the
Yeah.
Bengals. It was very icy.
It is
Loved
cool.
it.
Icy.
It is cool.
Powder blue.
That's good.
Icy.
You see Joe Burrow as a
I
model
love
now?
hanging out
Joe
with
Burr?
Tamara. I learn all
Yeah.
kinds of new words, and
Modeling.
stuff.
Modeling.
like different, vernacular.
Icy.
It looks so good, especially when Joe Burrow all white.
Oh, yeah.
What'd you think of Joe Burrow at that event that he went to?
Yeah, it was just
What did he do?
Was
I
that
think-
because
I
of
think-
Justin Jefferson
What?
with the
Modeled a little bit.
Oh.
Paris
Yeah.
fashion.
with the
Great.
backless suit jacket?
I think that he
I don't
should
know,
stick
dog,
to
wasn't
walking
working
down
for
the
me.
field, not runways. It's just not my thing.
I'm kind of like, I used to love Joe Burrow.
Kinda
And I'm
down
kind
on
of just,
Joe Burrow?
I don't know.
That's what he was waiting to say.
I don't know about this
No.
guy anymore. I'm
Joe
like,
Burrow, you
I
can
love
literally,
Joe Burrow.
I love how he plays, but
Joe
I'm
Feisty.
like,
you can literally just post a video of him breathing, and it's gonna get like 2 million likes.
Aura.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
I
Jeff,
don't get it.
You don't?
Joe Burrow, his looks. But you can
Well,
admit
I'm not
certain
talking
men.
about
are-
his
No,
looks.
but
Oh.
that's because he's a Josh Allen guy.
Oh, right,
Josh
right,
Allen
right,
breathing, like
right.
2 million for him.
But there are certain guys you can say are
Yeah.
attractive. Some guys I don't get it. I'm like, people say this guy's attractive. I don't see it. But certain guys like Brad Pitt, like he's.
Like Trevor Lawrence, it's just his hair blowing in the wind. You know?
It's gonna be weird if he's like balding.
I wouldn't
Trevor
get
Lawrence
the
would.
attraction to Trevor
Trevor
Lawrence.
Lawrence, it's just his hair.
Physically, I mean, like Josh
Yeah.
Allen and Joe Burrow to me are good-looking guys. Anyway, I'm comfortable enough in my
SoundCloud Matt.
sexuality to say that. They're good-looking guys. I'll say it again. Do you want me to- I'm going to direct it to the camera. I think they're good-looking guys.
He's a handsome man. Jeff from Canada's got another little fun question for us. I think we all agree Patriots are in for a very, very long shot to win a ring in the next 2 seasons. What franchise are you sort of cheering for to get a ring while we're rebuilding, or could you never get behind another team? Is there
I'm a never get behind another team guy.
never?
I kind of am too. I
Yeah.
mean, I'll root for someone on Super Bowl Sunday, but it's not like I'll spend the season and be like, you know what? Like I want Al Horford to win a title. Like I don't care if Al Horford. I mean, Al Horford was on my team, so I wanted the Celtics to win.
Yeah.
But like, I don't really get behind a team necessarily, and say, oh, I'd really like to. Say,
I
I know my team's not going to win. I want to see them win. I don't care.
I want Lamar to get a ring.
You know what? After
I
my
want-
diatribe, that's not a bad one.
Yeah,
I
that's,
want
that's
Lamar.
probably the one I would pick
Yeah.
if
That's not
I
a bad
had
one.
to. Somebody was like,
I want Lamar.
I wouldn't mind to see seeing him win one.
Yeah.
I just would love to see Lamar win a ring just because of all the crap that's
Exactly.
said about
Yeah.
him.
Mhm.
And like, all his style isn't going to win and this, that, the other thing. It would just be cool to silence.
Do you think if he did win though, that like all of a sudden the trend would be like, we got to get a mobile quarterback now? Like will that like all of a
I think
sudden
it's already the trend.
reignite it?
I would like to hope that they would realize that there's only
One Lamar.
there's only
Yeah.
certain guys.
Well,
that
there's 2
kinda-
Lamars,
Well,
aren't there? Lamar Latrell is another
Well,
Lamar.
and there's also Malik Cunningham. Don't forget about him.
He's a
Snoop Huntley.
receiver.
He's definitely
Wide receiver. Malik
He's
Cunningham.
making strides, I heard, when they're not practicing.
Oh dear Lord.
Do you root for a team on Super Bowl Sunday, or do you
No.
just like watch the game?
I actually feel really strongly about this when I say that I hate people that have like second teams and stuff. Like, no.
No,
Everybody
he
gets-
means
everybody
Super
gets
Bowl
one.
But like
Sunday.
when you sit down Super Bowl Sunday, don't tell me you didn't root for San Francisco. I know you did.
Oh yeah, last year.
know
of
you
course
did.
I did. But that's because there's like a lot of things that go into that.
So you
like,
root for another team on Super Bowl
also,
Your
Sunday.
adoration
like,
of
I'm
Kyle
comfortable.
Shanahan.
I'm comfortable with my sexuality to say Kyle Shanahan is a good-looking guy. So I rooted for Kyle Shanahan for those reasons. Then I also rooted for him.
You rooted for him because you think he's a good-looking guy?
Yeah, exactly. Then I also rooted for the 49ers because of Patrick Mahomes. Like, I don't want him to win any more Super Bowls.
But you hate Brock Purdy.
I do.
What's the
But what he's saying is he wasn't supporting the 49ers throughout the year. It was just on
No.
Super Bowl Sunday.
No, and I would
Yeah.
agree with that. I don't spend the season
Yeah.
saying my team's not going anywhere. I'm going to pick a second team. I don't
Yeah, no.
necessarily
Yeah.
do that.
No.
No.
But when the playoffs come around and I watch all the playoff games, I've never just like watched a game and said, I don't really care. You know, you pick a side. I mean, I used to do that like covering high school field hockey games in the early 90s. I'd be there in like 30 seconds of the game. Someone did. Usually
Yeah.
I would root against a team,
Yeah.
then pick a team that I'm rooting for because someone would do something that I was like, yeah, wow. That coach is a jerk. I'm rooting against his team. You know, as I'm covering
So
it.
it'd be something like superficial though, right? Like
Oh,
it couldn't
totally.
be. It couldn't be something like, oh,
Totally.
this team's too good.
No, well, if that was the case, I would root for an upset.
They're over.
Like
yeah,
if I was,
overmatched.
you know, like Watertown field hockey is won like 9 million games in a row. If I was covering, I would root for the other team just because that's a story now. Like
Yeah.
that's you root for the story.
That's a
very
good one.
specific.
Do you know what I
like
mean?
that. Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
a good one.
That's what I don't do.
very
Because
specific.
a lot of people. Well, seriously, they've like set records for like,
Oh.
consecutive wins.
Did not know that.
I root for the story on Patriots games till about the third quarter, and then I just want it to be that story because I don't want it to suddenly be
yeah.
Well, a
another
rewrite?
story.
You don't want to rewrite.
I don't want a 28-3.
You got to get your typewriter.
right. Nope.
Like last night I was definitely pulling for Edmonton
Yeah, me
to
too.
beat Florida. didn't happen.
Yeah,
I wasn't heartbroken when it didn't
I
happen.
was too, and I didn't lose a second of sleep.
I really that whole thing bugs me. You know, obviously they're kind of own the Bruins right now, which is a bummer. But also, like, you had one fan base that was literally going to parade in the streets for like weeks if their team won, and you had another fan base. They're saying they're not even going to parade at all because they don't even know where to have the parade because they don't have any fans.
Well, the last I saw the Stanley Cup was in the ocean.
Yeah,
That's gonna get rusty. You can't do that.
it's tough. It's tough. I wanted to see the diehard fan base, you know, the one that actually is a hockey town, win. Sunrise for.
I'm going to stick with the Bruins here just for a second before we jump over to Melvin. But Bruins question here. For the second consecutive year, the Bruins dominated in the regular season, then flamed out in the playoffs.
Wouldn't say that.
Now the Bruins are aging, and they don't have any high draft picks. Should they make one last desperate effort to bolster the team through free agency to make one last run for the Cup, or should they blow the team up and start over?
I actually disagree with everything that person
I
just
disagree with
said.
the premise.
I disagree with the premise. The Bruins did not dominate the regular season.
Well, that was part one, and then part two is a lot of their older players are starting to retire or age out already. Like, their core is Pasternak, Charlie McAvoy, Jeremy Swayman. All those guys are young.
Yeah.
Like, none of those guys are old.
It's just because the only real old guy now is Marshy.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is going to be a hot take, but this is my casual Bruins fan take.
I'm a little worried
That's right.
about this.
That's right.
I'm a little worried about this.
Hold on, I got to open my notes.
I would guess, and maybe you can tell me the number, Evan, that the Bruins have won more regular season games over the last 5 years than any other team.
And over the last decade, they're
over the
number
last decade,
one, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
They haven't won a Stanley Cup. They've gone
Thank
to
you.
2 finals.
Thanks for reminding me of that.
It's hard. It's hard to win a Stanley Cup. Like, as a fan, and if you're a casual fan, do you have to be all that angry about it? They've always been pretty good.
Yes, because that's exactly what
they win. They beat the Maple Leafs. They win a playoff round.
I disagree with this premise.
Me too.
I know.
No,
that's
I hear
why.
what
That's
he's
why I'm
saying.
bringing it up, though. Like,
hear what
look,
he's
I know
saying.
everybody wants to win a Stanley Cup. The Panthers are the only team to win the Stanley Cup this year. One team wins it. It's hard to do. It's all got to match up. But as a fan of a team that spends, and Evan, you probably go to 20 games a year or something like that. You got a package. Aren't you pretty satisfied as a fan of the product that the team is putting on the field?
Let me ask you this, okay?
Yeah.
So let's go the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Okay, so 14 to 24.
Okay.
All right, so they have
After the Chicago loss,
one trip to the finals
Yep.
in that time.
Mm-hmm.
How many trips to the conference finals?
0. Yeah.
Okay, so you get knocked for
Yep.
all those regular season wins.
Yeah.
You're getting upset in the playoffs every year.
Yeah. Right.
Now
No,
this
that's
year,
fair.
you
Yep.
did not get upset in the playoffs this year. You lost to the better team, but you've been the higher seed in your playoff losses on a consistent basis. You know, the Carolina a couple years ago was they lost in 7 in the first round.
They were better
Carolina was better.
Yes.
Same thing happened this year in the second round. I think they lost in 6, but same thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's a lot of knockouts to teams that weren't as good as them.
Yeah, I think that's definitely fair. I mean, especially when you look back when they had the core of the Patrice Bergerons and, the older guys Charas that were, then it's real frustrating when you can't win those. But if you're going to get through the rebuild and you can, get you're competitive every game, you're pretty good during the regular season, you maybe I'm just saying, from a perspective in the rebuild,
if they had beaten St. Louis.
Yeah.
I'll just say that. Like, I think that would feel a lot different.
Final.
Yeah, because that team stunk.
Yeah.
And they had no business losing to that team.
Yeah, I think the problem that you have is that what you just said is absolutely music to Jeremy Jacobs' ears.
Right, I know, right?
Because
we're
that's
competitive,
that's the team
we're not
that,
gonna go. Yeah.
that's his line.
Yeah.
Do we win a round in the playoffs? Do I get the extra box office for the 3 or 4 playoff games in the first round? And when they check that box, everybody keeps their job.
And I guess they, now I'm starting to think, like, they lost to Tampa. Those Tampa teams were better than them, too. So maybe they didn't get upset, per se, as many times as I think. But, like, they didn't advance. So you're winning a lot of regular season. I just think that they're a team that gears itself to regular season success.
Yeah, because they want to make the playoffs.
And, you want to – we'll give a Bruins minute here, as Felger and Maz like to say. And I heard the end of what Evan was talking about, and I agree with a lot of what you were saying. So you trade Ullmark, and you have an opportunity to get, so I'm glad they got a first-round pick. That's obviously what they were holding out for.
Yeah.
But you're forced to take a terrible contract and a backup goalie back, and I'm like, there's part of me that says, like, they wanted the backup goalie because they know that's their secret sauce to winning, 50 games or whatever it ends up being in the regular season. I don't care about that. You're going to make the playoffs with Swayman.
Yeah.
Right? So, to me, just rip the Band-Aid off and stop gearing your team to regular season success. Like, if the Panthers tried to play the whole series like they did the third period last night, they'd have gotten swept. That's how the Bruins play all the time.
This year. I mean, we talked about this during their season a lot because I watch every single Bruins game and just a huge fan, so we watch a lot. And you and we would talk about the Bruins. Every time I'd go to a game, I'd come back and be like, they won, but like
They just don't generate any offense.
I just kind of feel like they're not good. Like
I totally agree.
And all year long, the eye test just didn't back it up. And then when they beat Toronto in Game 7, I was ecstatic. That to me was like them overachieving because I was like, this Toronto team is loaded. Like, and
I sort of agree.
And the Bruins just. This was a reset year for the Bruins because they went all in on the regular season from 2 years ago. So last year was truly supposed to be like a reset year. And the fact that they won a playoff round was kind of an overachieve. Now they have like $23 million in cap space, and the only contract currently that they're going to have to pay of their own is Jeremy Swayman, which is going to be a lot of money, but they should have some money to throw around in free agency, and they should be throwing it around. Like, there's no excuse not to.
I just wish they didn't waste it on a backup goalie who has been struggling. Now, maybe goalie Bob gets him, and he's serviceable for 30 games.
Right.
I don't know.
If he's a serviceable backup goalie, then you can swallow it. But I would almost have rather just kept Linus and just rolled with it for another year because Linus had one more year on his contract. So he was going to be a free agent at the end of the year anyways. They're paying Korpisalo $3 million, and Linus Ullmark's on the book for $5 million. So it's a difference. It's probably one skater, right? And it's like a Danton Heinen. Like, it's not going to be somebody any good. So it's just it was a weird trade to take on salary. If they just wanted to straight salary dump Linus Ullmark, I would have gotten that. But to take on salary from Ottawa just to get the 25th overall pick in the draft, it's not like it's like a top 10 pick. It was a weird trade. It was a weird trade.
I agree.
Yeah. Hey, Matt Morrell, I lost the ability to get the phones up, so I think Melvin's online, but
while Mike's trying to get it up, I'm going to continue on your.
I love this.
I can pop Melvin up for you.
All right, let's take Melvin right now. I got it up, no problem.
You got it up? All right, good job.
Deuce is like, let's move off this as quick as
Hey,
possible.
Melvin, what's going on, man?
Sorry, sweet kid. I know you're not. You're too much of a sweet kid to like that kind of blue humor that I was.
It's not like you, Paul.
I was laughing just like I'm glad you all kept talking so I could get it out. But I had a quick question, I guess, about Tua. I think his contract year's up, or I think it's about his time to pay him.
He's probably the next guy,
Yeah. So would you be interested? Well, not interested, but are you entertaining the idea of trying to upgrade in the quarterback position? Like, some teams flirt. I feel like some teams are doing a lot of bluff sometimes. Like, oh, should we pay him? Should we not? I'm pretty sure they're going to pay him, but with, they do got a window here. So do you think they could possibly, not saying to this level, but try to maybe go get a veteran real quick just so they can maximize on this opportunity, this championship window that they have?
Well,
do you all think that's a possibility?
Who are we talking about?
I don't.
Tua.
I don't think that.
Yeah, but us. Like the Patriots getting Tua?
No.
I
think
think
just
saying should Miami
state of the
should
Dolphins.
Miami try to maximize this window and get a veteran? And I don't think there's a veteran available that's better than Tua.
Yeah.
Right now.
I mean,
for this year? No.
Tua's the veteran, right? Like I don't know who else they.
Like I think that they're going to pay him, and I understand where Melvin's coming from because it's not a no-brainer. Like, you just saw Trevor Lawrence's AAV is like $55 million. I like Trevor Lawrence, but not $55 million like. But that's what it costs.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So you have to make it a choice. Do you say, I can go out and find somebody else that's as good as Tua or as good as Trevor Lawrence, or do I stick with that? It could be Daniel Jones at like 40, or it could be Lawrence, and you kind of say, well, what's the difference? They're kind of inconsistent, both of them.
Well, I think Trevor Lawrence is much better than Daniel Jones.
Much more upside, no question about it.
Better hair too.
Better.
I would stick with Tua and ride that out.
Yeah,
I'd give him an extension. I think that offense is really geared to him.
Does he get 55?
50.
Yeah, he's going to get 50.
What the market is.
Yeah.
Oof. I don't see him.
Dak Prescott to me is a bigger question.
Yeah. I definitely could see him being the next Dak being the next Kirk Cousins and being on someone else's team
Dak
next
Prescott
year.
screens Raiders. I just think it's
You think
a
so?
lock for the Raiders.
I love Dak. Dak I feel like is almost underrated at this point. Like I would pay Dak in a heartbeat, but I feel like with the Cowboys and Jerry Jones that's like deeper than just Dak. Like I have a feeling that they have their mind on like Arch Manning or something stupid like that.
Stop.
Like I really
Is
do
he
feel
even going
that
to get
way.
to play this year? Arch Manning?
Probably not because Quinn Ewers went back.
And supposedly they got another one
Yeah.
of the highest rated quarterbacks is signed with
There's
Texas.
something about
Texas.
Dak with the
Texas.
Joneses that the Joneses just aren't
Yeah.
there with Dak that they want to pay him.
Yeah.
It's been years that they've been doing this.
Well, the last contract he signed was big.
Yeah, but it wasn't like what they're gonna have to pay him now, or
No, well now
anything
is
close to
you
it.
know like yesterday's price is not today's price.
Yeah, but I would pay Tua if I was Miami.
Yeah.
I think that it's easy to sit here and say, oh, we'll just get somebody else that's going to be just as good. It might not be just as good.
I just
so.
don't think there's anybody as good available for them.
No.
So it's
Not
what
right
the,
now.
it's what
And
the
I don't think these veterans that change teams are better than Tua. I think
Yeah.
clearly I think more of Tua than Patriots fans do.
I'm with you on Tua for the most
Like
part.
I think he's good.
It's a little risky.
Do I think he's Mahomes?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's good, but needs to stay healthy.
Yeah, that's it.
The biggest
Played
thing,
all 17 last year.
the biggest thing with Tua is that a lot of people I feel like have that preconceived notion of what he was before the hip injury at Alabama, when he could have been on Mahomes'
Yeah.
level, right? And then he had the hip injury, and he hasn't been the same guy since then.
He
He's
definitely does not offer that kind of
mobility,
like off-platform
right?
potential.
Right, he doesn't have that, and also the lefty thing. I think is it.
Oh, right. That's the worst part.
So I would say, and I because I was with you, I thought Melvin was going to, like,
Yeah,
With the
that's
Patriots.
what I was
extrapolate
a
to the
little
Patriots.
confused.
I do like him a lot. I'm not sure I would want him here. I wouldn't want him playing 5, 6, 7 games in bad weather.
No.
Or with
absolutely
our
not.
offensive line.
No, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, I don't think his arm strength would
Yeah.
be conducive to throwing the ball here in November.
Yeah.
No.
No, he seems like a good fit for McDaniel, and that's why I just, I wonder what's the shelf life like with McDaniel if they had a similar kind of season this year, and it's like they look great, and and then it kind of starts to fade, and it gets cold, and they're not the
Talking my
same team
language
anymore.
now.
Absolutely,
Like-
absolutely. If he doesn't get it done, that's why I would combat Evan on Dak Prescott. If he doesn't get it done when it counts, at some point you got to find someone who can.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks, Melvin. Appreciate
I
it.
definitely wonder about McDaniel a little bit. It's
Yeah.
just, I don't know.
Is it going to start to wear thin? The kind of like act.
Maybe he's so goofy that he got cold and he lost all his brain power.
I just kind of sense that he's feeling himself a little bit too much,
Oh yeah.
and now it's sort of becoming more about he's the show.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, but Bill became the show here because Bill won. So it's different when you have you hang 3 banners and then you become just as popular as the
Yeah.
players. That's a little bit different. But in Miami right now, the mic'd ups are just so good, and that's I don't know. He's just kind of a character.
He is.
On and off the field.
Oh yeah. Every time you see him at these like events that we go to, like the owners' meeting and stuff, he's always just yucking it up. And
Yeah.
I mean, I like him. I just
Miami lifestyle.
He's
Yeah.
got to find a way to win games
Yeah.
in January.
Yeah.
If he can't, he will be on the hot seat, no
Yeah.
question.
Thanks,
Especially
Matt.
with that roster, like you have no excuse. No
Team.
excuse.
Jalen Waddle's all locked up, and yeah.
Tyreek Hill.
Quick question here from Dan in via Michigan. He apologized. He missed a couple things, but what's the story of Tamara meeting Mariska Hargitay?
Ooh. Okay, so I was at a Glamour Woman of the Year event, and I
Were
get
you
a
being honored?
I was not being honored. I was
Woman
just
of the
a
Year.
guest.
Okay.
One of the day.
I was a guest.
Maybe
and
next year.
I was in the bathroom, and my sister texted me. She was like, "Oh my God, Olivia Benson is outside. You have to get out of the bathroom." And I was like, "What?"
They just talk about it in her movie, in her character name.
Yeah, character name.
I have to. And so I run out, and actually the person that I was there with that was hosting me went up to Mariska and was like, "We have someone who wants to meet you." And she was so nice. Just as you would imagine her to be. I feel like sometimes when you meet your celebrity crush or celebrity icon, they're horrible or just kind of snooty or don't talk to me, but she was everything.
It's
so
pretty
nice.
cool.
She was everything.
So nice. so nice. So
Is she your
personable.
favorite member of all Law and Order casts? If you had to pick one person from all the Law and Orders, would she be the one you would pick?
Yes. And then
Yeah.
Stabler's probably close second.
So
Who's
was
the actor who
Stabler, I
plays
was gonna
Stabler?
ask, was Stabler her +1
He
at
should
this
have been.
event? No?
She was alone.
Wait, is that Chris Malloy? Is that his name?
Maloney.
Maloney.
Ken Stabler.
He's funny.
He would have been close second.
Yeah.
He would have been close second.
I'm trying to think of who my favorite all time.
Jerry Orbach.
I would love one
Maybe.
day to be walking down the streets of New York and run into them
Alex
filming.
Cabot.
She's great.
Stephanie March.
Dan had one more question, just asking,
fan.
will there be a regular Patriots Hall of Fame induction later this year? Paul,
There
you're
will
on the
not-
committee.
There will not be.
Any further discussion about Bill and what we might do with
No,
Billy?
I assume I'll be at the first meeting and then not invited back to any after that for that as well. You
It's
may
not
have seen
salty
on
at all.
you
Well,
may have
salty
seen
at all.
actually not at all.
I was thinking, go ahead.
The All Access that Mike was talking about. You might have seen the very first scene featured prominently my bald spot right there in the camera, and then all the ensuing meetings that you saw Deuce's wicked handsome face at some of those meetings. Paul was not invited back after he came up with the idea, and received no credit for it. But
I was all team. I was team
Maybe a little
B-roll.
salty.
I was team B-roll. I was always just like. I've never said a word.
That's why I wasn't asked back, because mine more like
team B-roll.
Why are we doing the panels? Like, come on.
I was thinking, it'd be great. So I have a great idea for Bill's panel. It's like we'll get all his elementary school teachers together and do like 20, 30 minutes of them just talking about it.
Oh,
right?
that sounds
Right?
awesome.
Then
Can't
we,
wait.
Then we can move on.
I got
to
more
the
panels.
Then we can move
The
on
middle
to
school
the
panel.
second scene of Brady night.
Oh, I got panels. Don't worry. I got panels all day long.
I got panels.
Let's see what else. What else?
Wow, this is
So
great.
quiet.
Sorry.
Great radio.
Off-season, baby.
That's what happens
Great
when
radio.
Deuce and the kids not ready.
Well, that's just out from Wisconsin saying it's really funny in a sad way to hear you talk about the Bruins not generating any offense when in fact they outscored the Patriots.
That's
They do have an elite sniper. I mean, that's the thing about
They
the
have
Bruins.
82
They got an
games.
elite sniper,
hope they would.
and they got a really good goalie. And I mean, I'm kind of on McAvoy. I think he's a good player, but I don't think he's. But it's
They
a team.
have,
This
like-
is what it looks like when you have an awesome sniper
They
and a
have
really
a
good
good team.
goalie and a good
Yeah.
team.
They have a good team.
You're
They
gonna
do
fall.
not have a Stanley Cup contender, in my view.
No, they weren't deep enough this year to win the cup, and they blew it 2 years
Yeah,
ago.
2 years ago, they were stacked. They had a really good team that they augmented with really good moves at the deadline. I have to give Don Sweeney credit. I thought every move he made addressed something that they were a little bit short in, and it just didn't work.
The
It
deadline
just didn't work.
The only thing that I didn't like about the deadline 2 years ago was that they almost had too many players. And then they got into a position where they had to pick each night in the playoffs, like who are the 18 guys we're actually going to roll with in this game. And there was always one guy that was a healthy scratch that would have played on all the other teams, but the Bruins. And it kind of felt like they, got too caught up in mixing and matching and stuff. But I know Charlie McAvoy had a rough series against Toronto, but I think Charlie McAvoy is a great player. Pasta's good, obviously. And then they have like a bunch of Coils and Zakas. Like those are all guys that
good players.
Are good
They're
players.
Good.
Yeah.
The Bruins are a good team, and they'll make the playoffs again next year.
They missed that top center.
They'll
That's what they
choke
need.
again.
Andrew in
Well, I
LA.
don't think they choked this
Okay,
year.
so
That's the
who is the
Don't be mean.
Bruins comparison in the NFL that you think they win a lot of regular season games,
Cowboys.
but then you think so?
I think
Cowboys Dallas is better.
Like Dallas and Buffalo came to mind, but I think both
Yeah,
Dallas and
Buffalo.
Buffalo are far more talented.
Yeah.
But I also think Buffalo's never won. At least the Bruins have won.
They did win one. They did win one.
13 years ago.
Celtics were the 49ers till this year.
This is a little inside
Celtics and 49ers is a
social
good
media.
comparison.
Andrew in
Social
LA
media.
pointing out Tamara Matisse thought the topic of Hawk Tua was pretty funny. Mike, maybe you should ask them about why they were giggling. Which have you seen the new the Hawk Tua girl? Everyone's seen.
I've seen the
How
Hawk
does
Tua
that
girl.
take over the whole internet? I'm like, I can't get away from it. There's songs. I mean, it's just
How
like
does that take
and
over
like
the
all
whole
these people
internet?
trying to figure out where this girl is, who's just like some freaking.
It's like you didn't watch any of the Stanley Cup, huh? Did you?
I watched a little. Yeah.
Did you see the Edmonton girl?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Did
Which,
you
by the
see
way,
everybody
so
saw
Spinning
the
Chicklets found
Edmonton
her,
girl.
and then like couldn't be more awkward. Like every interaction they have with
no.
putting her on, she's super stiff and awkward. But the Hawk Tua girl, I can't get away from it. That's gonna. I'm off of Twitter now, and
Well, see, that to me was really like I saw it and it was really funny and I laughed. But now, like, I don't.
Overkill
I'm
now.
kind of. I'm kind
it's
of
like
with Mike. Like
songs,
How does it go
and we gotta
from
track
something
her
that you just happen
down.
to see to this?
Right, and then you see all like fake manufactured stories about like, well, her dad's a pastor, and now he's been fired. Like, but, like
she was a
everyone's like
preschool
a
teacher.
different version.
Every one of those
that.
things has been
teacher one
debunked
was
already,
great.
Right?
from what I understand. Right?
Like, yeah, well, they're all. I mean, there's like 6 of them,
All
7. Like
lies.
they all pop up, but I don't get it. You can't escape it. Is it just? I think it's just TikTok mostly right now. It might be Instagram too, but
it's everywhere.
This poor girl.
I just love the accent. That to me takes it over the top.
The southern accent.
Poor girl.
On
She's
that
probably making
thing.
so much money off of this. So.
Can I bring up one thing before the end of the show? I don't.
Not if it's
going to
be serious.
It's going to be semi-serious. So Fred Bossman's on vacation, as we all know.
Yeah.
But still has the time to tweet at me last night about the fun team down at Fenway Park, Paul Perillo. What do you think about the Red Sox? Huh?
Oh, it's big
what
one.
do you
Big
think
win.
about the Red
More
Sox?
triples.
I think we got more triples.
I think they're 9-2 in
triples.
their last 11.
It's not.
They are red hot.
It's not
They're
good for me. I'm
absolutely
trying
red
to buy
hot.
tickets on a very specific day in July with my in-laws that we have to go to the game, and like the prices are just.
Yeah.
Starting with that Philly series, it's 2 out of 3 over the Phillies, 2 out of 3 over the Yankees, swept Toronto, 2 out of 3 over Cincy. Big comeback win.
Fun team.
4 wins in the last 14 games, trailing after the 7th inning.
That's crazy.
After having 0 in like the previous 100 and whatever many games.
Fun team, Paul.
156
it's a fun
games or something like
team.
that.
I hope they're fun.
It's been without question, it's been a fun team the last 2 weeks.
Yeah,
Hot-
it
hot
is
like-
funny how that it's literally just been the last 2.5 weeks that they've actually been good. And so everybody
feels longer.
And everybody is like, oh well, they're starting to come together and things are starting. It's like let's.
So
calm
now
down.
so now you have my attention, as I said to Fred last week, right?
Beat a good team.
So
Beat
what
a
are
good
they?
team.
So what are they going to
Toronto's
do?
not a good team.
What are they going to do with the deadline?
Nothing.
They did. Toronto stinks. By
Oh,
the
I
way.
thought-
Toronto's lost like 7 in a
Yeah,
row.
no,
Oh, but that's what I heard
Toronto's
you say last. It was they got to beat a good team.
They beat the Phillies and they beat the Yankees.
Yeah.
Those are the only 2
Yeah,
good
those
teams they
count.
beat
Okay.
all season.
Yeah.
Those are the only 2 wins over teams with winning records for the entire season. They just happen to come back to back, but it clearly served as a turning point for them in a springboard because now they're beating the crap out of the bad teams too. So
Now they're 7 games over 500.
right, and they're only a half a game ahead of in the playoffs, but they're only a game behind the next wild card spot. So they could move up to like the 5th spot.
Vote Jaron Duran All-Star game.
A lot of triples.
He has 10 triples,
A lot of
Vote
triples.
Vote
It's
Jaron
like the
Duran.
third base. You get all the way to the third.
They're athletic. They run
'Cause
a
you
lot.
get
Fun.
Just keep running.
You get extra wins for more triples.
He's fast, though,
You don't
that
want home runs.
No, the funniest
You
part.
just want triples.
The funniest part about
They're
the
fun.
game last night is that obviously Durant had to walk off and he made a good catch, but Devers also hit like a 450-foot home run, and we don't talk about the home run. We talk about
which
how
by the way got them back in the game.
Yeah, we talk about how fun Jaron Durant's single to win the game was.
We've covered all Boston sports
There you
today.
go.
We did.
We got
No
another.
Revs.
We got another keep trade cut from our friend Kyle in Pembroke.
The Revs are hot too.
That I did not know.
5 questions. Patriots slot wide receiver Edelman, Welker, and Branch keep trade cut.
That's just really.
I can't cut Welker or Branch. I think I'm going to keep Edelman, but I can't cut.
I'm going to
one of
keep Welker, but I can't.
That's
You can give me any of those 3, I'll be fine.
We're gonna be in trouble if we pick between those 3.
Oh my God! Boston Pizza. I don't know if
Ooh.
Ernesto's, Regina's, and Santarpio's. I think you probably know all 3 of those.
I love
I do not know Ernesto's. The
Ernesto's
other 2 are
is fire.
The other 2 are
Regina's
outstanding.
in the North End.
I know
oh
Regina's.
Regina's
What's
in the
so
North
good.
End.
Evan, you're
is-
our resident expert.
I would say that I would still put Regina's number 1.
Yes.
It's gotten a little bit touristy now.
I like Ernesto's. I respect Regina's. It's up there, but Ernesto's
Regina's
is class.
It's gotten a little touristy.
Regina's has other places,
Located.
and if you really want to go, you need to go to the original.
The OG.
Yes.
Yeah, the one in Brighton's not bad. It's on the
By the train station.
Mass Pike, and the Bruins and Celtics practice facilities are right there. It's not terrible.
Do you just hang out there to see if Marchand comes out?
There a few times.
Linus, it's Linus. Sandwiches,
That's Jess. That's not him.
I actually got to.
I'm
tour
nervous
the,
for
the
this one,
Celtics
dude.
practice facility. It's pretty cool.
cheeseburgers, fried chicken sandwich, and Reuben.
I'm sorry.
thought he
you're
was
gonna
about to
have
say hot
repeat
dogs.
that.
Wait, okay, time out.
That's
before
easy,
we,
right in that order.
But-
Cheeseburger.
Before we answer this,
Reuben,
though, I do
out.
not count a cheeseburger or a chicken sandwich as a sandwich. It's weird. I
You
think
just
of,
said
like,
chicken sandwich.
I
How's it not a
know,
sandwich?
The next
but
topic
I
is
think
subs.
of it-
Chicken sandwich.
But I think of when I hear sandwich, I'm thinking Jersey Mike's.
Yeah, well,
not
there's subs is next,
cheeseburger.
which is Italian steak and cheese and BLT for subs.
Not a BLT.
Steak
Again,
and cheese
right in
one.
that order.
BLT.
Italian steak and
BLT
cheese.
sub.
BLT
I'm not
out.
a BLT
Steak
guy.
and cheese, number 1.
steak and cheese.
Yeah, I agree
fire.
with steak and cheese. being number 1.
Had a Chipotle steak and cheese yesterday. from
Yeah. Jersey
Jer-
Mike's.
I had the
Jersey Michaels.
salsa verde.
Last one,
Jersey Michaels
quarterbacks.
delivered.
Uh-oh.
It's the
Quarterbacks.
white quarterback edition.
Tom
addiction. Burrow, Herbert, or Allen.
Well, we know what Evan's going to say.
I'm going to cut Herbert. I mean, I
like
like
Herbert. Out of those three, you have to
he's
cut
definitely
Herbert.
the worst out of those three.
I'm going.
I'm going to keep Allen.
Thank you.
Keep Burrow.
Yeah.
But Burrow's got some winner qualities.
He made that one Super Bowl that one time, guys. Remember?
I just.
Burrow.
I'm Burrow. Keep Burrow.
You are a hater.
I'm just.
He just loves Josh Allen.
It's not even.
I do too. I kept Allen.
It's mostly that.
Did you cry when Bill Burr made that joke about Josh Allen?
I actually thought that was funny.
I thought that was
I thought that was the one funny thing he said.
I thought that was distasteful, but I did not.
I thought it was hilarious.
That was so good.
No,
and I thought the picture itself was perfect because he had that like stupid look on his face.
In all seriousness, though, can we see it from Joe Burrow?
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah.
That, don't get hurt.
Well, so you don't. But like, so
I'm not
the
saying
year
he's
after he
bad.
went to the Super Bowl, him like taking Mahomes to
the
the wire in the AFC Championship the next year wasn't enough.
Yeah. No, he's a great player.
Like they went to Buffalo and beat them, and then
He's
they
a
went
great
to Kansas
player.
City. And
I'm not like saying
kind of
that-
got screwed. Let's say it with that late hit out of bounds.
Yeah. I'm not saying that he's not a great player. I'm just saying that he's had some injuries. It's been barely 2 years. Like Josh Allen's done it now for 4 or 5 years in a row. Really going back to 19, 20. So
Josh Allen to me is more of a dual threat than Burrow is, and that's why I would take. Plus, bigger, stronger, all that stuff.
Stay healthy for me, Joe
But he
Burrow.
hasn't won.
One time.
He hasn't won in the playoffs the way Burrow has.
That's fair.
But I would take Allen over Burrow.
Yeah, I think I would too. It just seems that both those guys, though.
They're both good-looking guys.
2 years ago, those guys
If you
both.
hadn't heard.
It was like. The sky's the limit. These guys, and now you're starting to just get a little warts. I mean, it's
Well, I
some
don't know if
injuries
but
for
Buffalo's
Burrow.
window's closed.
That's true.
This is the third year in
But-
a row.
but
I'm
just
going
some tough,
to enter
you
the
know-
season with their window
No,
headed.
no, no,
And this
now
is,
it's really
and this is kind of what I mean with Drake May too. Not that we have these grand aspirations of him being as talented as those guys just yet, but it's all sunshine and rainbows right now when you get and as a rookie and oh my God he's good but it's like all right, but then he has a year where he tears his ACL, or he has a year where, guess what, they're trading away your top weapon, and you're going to have to try to figure it out again. It's just it starts to build up a little
That's
bit.
where
the,
Herbert
the
is
challenges.
right now. We all agreed that we would trade Herbert. Now he's got Jim Harbaugh coming in, so you can't just say, well, it's because Staley is going for fourth downs and not kicking field goals. Now he's got a regular coach who's got
But
a
he
track
lost all
record.
his receivers.
He's got a track record of success in the NFL. If he's not better.
Yeah.
It's also
It's on
tough
him.
with him
Yeah.
because it was kind of the same thing in college at Oregon.
He lost too much.
Yeah, where like he just you could clearly tell at Oregon that he was super talented, but it just didn't match up with the results all the time. And that's sort of where we're at in the NFL with him too. And some guys are just like that, where it's this guy's 6'6" and can throw the ball a mile, and we know he's got all these intangibles, but
Is he a
or all
killer?
these,
Is
physical
he a
tools.
killer? Like they call Tom, right? Like that was everything.
Well, that was
Edelman,
sort of the
Edelman
knock.
Not
calling
as
her.
good looking as Allen and Burrow either.
No.
Good-looking
He has
guy
good
in his
hair.
own right. Good
he has
hair.
good hair.
He
He gives you like surfer vibes though.
That
Totally.
was that was the knock on him coming out.
Yeah, it's
along
not
with-
that important to him.
that he wasn't the killer. Like
Soft.
he didn't have that eye of the tiger.
Yeah.
He was just
Which
kind of.
with Burrow, I think Paul,
he
your
has
point, he
that.
kind of seems like
He has that.
He's got that like.
I think Josh Allen
crap.
does too. His teams just have kind of not had it
Yeah.
because Josh Allen's playoff stats are incredible.
And that's what bugs me is some of the games, the way they've lost. Like just this past one,
Yeah.
where they're down by 3 at the end of the game, and they have to drive. And he drops a bomb right in Stephon Diggs' hands. He drops it. But that doesn't stop the drive. He continues to drive into field goal range, and his idiot kicker misses the kick. Like, there's only, it's back to
something.
He's defending my guy now.
But it's like back to the
this.
Giselle thing. He cannot throw the ball and catch it. Like, there's only so much. I mean, I know that you have to. This is what we do now. Like, we're on these shows, and we all do it too. I'm not making fun of First Take or
Our shows.
all these other shows. Our shows.
Nick Wright.
Everybody's got to be labeled. Joe Burrow's a winner. Josh Allen's a loser. Like, you have to have a label for everything. Like, how about he's played pretty well in some of these games that they've lost. Like, I don't know what else a quarterback could do in that game that they
Couple
lost to
years ago.
Kansas City a couple of years ago in the divisional round.
Yeah. It's the same thing with like Tua too. Like, all these guys are starting to like pick up what their question is. Like, can he win the big one or can he stay healthy?
What's my why?
Like, what's your why?
Is that what you're trying to
Yeah.
So deep. You know, he picked that up. It's like a slogan in his
right.
agency in
Yeah.
L.A.
Oh, yeah.
Bumper sticker.
I just wonder, we were talking about Mike McDaniel earlier. Sean McDermott, that seat's got to be scolding. I mean,
Oh, he's definitely on the hot seat.
that is. I thought he should.
Now, I make fun of the whole window thing, but I don't make fun of the McDermott hot seat thing.
Sure.
He's got to be in trouble.
I think it's more him that's not ready to win the big game than it is Josh Allen. Like the way they've lost some of these games have all been on coaching and
They
like
kind of
situational
find
football.
ways, and that's like you sort of around losers. And
Is Tua in his last year of his deal now? Do you know? Anybody know?
He was a 2020 draft pick, so
they
yeah.
picked up his fifth-year option. So if they don't do it before the season, he's playing on his fifth-year option.
If you had to bet on one guy being there in 2 years, would you bet on Tua or McDaniel?
If I had to bet on one,
if the coach or the quarterback to
Tua.
still be there in 2 years, do you think they would stick with Tua, or do you think they'd kind of stick with what Mike McDaniel's incorporated?
yeah, I'm going to say Tua will still be there because I think he's going to get a contract. And if it doesn't work, they're going to
They're not
change
gonna
the
get rid of
coach.
Right.
So yeah, I mean,
'Cause
but
they're
that's
gonna
what's
be stuck
crazy
with the
to me,
quarterback.
right?
Yeah.
Right. Well, that's what's crazy to me is like it's literally just coming down to when he's coming up and what you're going to have to pay him. Not so much, if even internally they believe that we think Mike McDaniel's a genius. We don't really think the quarterback is going to matter. Like if they believe that really.
Right. But if you're asking me what I think is going to happen, I'm going to tell you I think
Right.
both of them will be there in 2 years.
Yeah.
But you said like one of them is going to be gone. Which one do you think would be more likely to be gone? And I think that would mean that they didn't win a lot of games, but the quarterback probably got a big contract, and that might be too soon to get rid of him.
Yeah. It's too logical. Yeah. No, you're right.
Yeah.
But it's again, it goes back for me to like these teams that you draft the quarterback, and it's like if Drake May is good, 4 years from right now, we're going to be talking about is Drake May getting 70, 60?
Well, there might be a quarterback salary cap by then.
Maybe,
For sure.
and that's why. But it just keeps going up, and even though these players have certain warts, you don't really have a choice. Like it's like, we'd love Tua to be healthy, but that's not our guy, and we got him, and we just have to bite the bullet and give him $50 million a year.
I mean, it's crazy though, but it's happening across pretty much all sports except hockey because they're so hard against the cap there. But like, Jason Tatum's max contract is going to be $315 million.
Insane.
Well, they're already paid another guy 300 and whatever.
He's gonna be a $60 million a year player. And the thing that's crazy about it is he's worth it. That's
you can't
the
really
crazy
make
part.
an argument that
Why?
they shouldn't do that.
Right.
Certainly not in basketball.
Like Derek White,
Be
who
$30 million a
I
year player.
love. He's going to make $30 million a year
Yeah.
to be like the fourth option.
Yeah.
Maybe the fifth.
Gotta do it.
A little story here for you, Tamara, from Jack in Ann Arbor. He said, I ran into Chris Noth in a convenience store in New York by accident.
Big.
I could see from his expression that he knew I recognized him. We both pretended that I did not recognize him. As I asked him for directions to the Stan bookstore, he was very cool about it.
Really smooth.
So I think to Jack just be like, I'm going to
pretend I don't recognize you. Excuse me.
Do you know where the bathroom is?
Very smooth.
Right.
Is that Dan?
Big, Mr. Big. No, Jack.
Jack in Ann Arbor.
Jack in Ann Arbor.
I would have.
That's a cool story.
Like, I would just love to see them shooting in the streets of New York and just be able to observe and watch this actually happening.
Oh, it's so boring.
Because they always just.
I was gonna say it's not what you think.
They put up
Super
signs
boring.
all the time, filming for XYZ, and
Yeah.
you're just like, dang, I wish I could see this happening in real life.
So your
It's so
Adam
un-
Sandler Halloween movie was shooting in right near me.
They just did.
In Danvers.
They just did Walking Dead in my neighborhood.
Oh wow.
Watching things watching that, trust me, and I Deuce could speak to this more than I could. It's not what you think.
Well,
it's really
it's cool for the first couple of times, and but after a
More
while you
exciting
realize,
if you're on the shows.
yeah,
like
right.
I've been in the past, so
You have
I don't know.
lines
Maybe they're
to
just
say.
standing around watching as fanboys.
No, it's I tell the video guys all the time. I find it so tedious. Like lighting, sound, cameras, f-stops.
I feel like we did
with
see
the Dutch
that.
angle there.
The Dutch
We did
angle.
it for schedule.
In our
release.
schedule release, yeah, we kind of saw that. Do it again, but from this angle. Do it again.
And
but,
that was we have Julian Edelman for the next 8 minutes to shoot this whole thing. That was as fast as you could possibly push things. And even when it's anytime you get into single cam shoots, I know Paul, you struggle with the difference between the multi cams and the single cams.
So well, too.
But single cams are like real movies, and it's just it's just setup after setup. Or at least with multi cams, you kind of record it live, and then you can kind of cut around,
Yeah.
and it's not, all right, we got this angle, now we got to move the camera. You know, it's just, I found it incredibly tedious, and it was definitely cool early on, but after a while, I was like, man, I'm just coming for the free food, and I could get out of here.
I was not built for that world. Like
Some people love it.
I dipped my toe in that world when I was in college, and to your point, the lighting and this and that and all this, and I was just like, I can't do this. It just wasn't meant for me.
I was like an extra in a couple of those things, and it's like just never ends.
Right.
Like
Well,
you
that was-
spend
I mean,
like a
but-
day doing it,
Yeah.
and and I'm not lying just because I'm a fat guy. The best part of the day is like lunch.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like you sit down and like you're literally sitting at a table, and like that could be like Courtney Cox,
Right.
you know.
Well,
and
Ellen
just
Pompeo.
We're in the red. We're in the red.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, that's, I mean, that to me, it was eventually, because they have, like, it's written into the contract, like, you have to feed people
Yeah.
at this time, you know, like, it has to happen. You know,
That's
but
my
then it's like,
favorite.
you know, even the union stuff, like, you can't move stuff. Like, you can't pick up a chair and help, like, because that's a union thing. Like, you can't, you know,
No, the best
all that
is
stuff you got to
is
deal
the
with.
breaks for lunch when it's like we have to break at this time, but the director is like, we're not done with this
Yeah,
cut
right,
yet,
right.
and then like the person keeping time is like,
Oh, the
God.
AD, the
Yeah,
AD's
he's so
losing their mind.
angry.
I know. That's what in June he was like, maybe you could AD the schedule. I'm like, that's the worst. That's the most stressed job of
Yeah.
everything. You're keeping everybody on schedule. You're making sure people are on time. And no. Well,
On
can I end it a little early, Paul? I know Fred usually does.
well, I just have to cut my grass.
Yeah, we got to cut
We
grass.
didn't have nearly enough laundry machine,
No, and-
lawnmowers.
And Doc McLeod wrote in and said
there
no
was a little
more
vacuum cleaner talk.
No
last
more
show,
talk.
too, I
No more talk about lawn mowing as much as we love it. But real quick, Bridgestone, the official tire of the New England Patriots, is proud to partner with Sullivan Tire, New England's headquarters for quality Bridgestone tires. Visit sullivantire.com to find a location near you. And of course, don't forget, easy to drink, easy to enjoy Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the New England Patriots. That's going to do it for this edition of Patriots Unfiltered. We will be back Thursday. I don't think Fred will be with us, but we'll be here, and we'll talk some more lawnmowers and fun stuff. See you then.
Thank you for downloading this podcast. Subscribe on Apple, Google Play, and everywhere else you listen. Like the show? Please rate and review us. Listener comments and ratings help keep us high in the podcast rankings so new listeners can find us. Be sure to check patriots.com for more news and more podcasts.
The world's original podcast.